Good afternoon. We are bringing you commentary of Tottenham Hotspur against Manchester United from the Premier League today. I'm your alternative host, Russ Vernon, and we are joined by our commentary team of John Kane and Matt Iles. Well, first of all, we'll bring in our co-commentator Matt Iles for this afternoon's game, or this evening's game, as sort of afternoon going into early evening. I will say, first of all, good afternoon to you, Matt, and how are you doing today? You okay?
I'm not too bad, Russ. Looking forward to this one for sure.
Matt, if I were to push you for a prediction on this game, having seen both the team news for both Manchester United and Tottenham, who would you say will come out on top if you had to push you for a prediction?
I could see it being a draw, to be honest with you. I'm going to go with a 1-0. I think, obviously, we know how Tottenham are sort of playing. The bigger games, they tend to be tight, very resolute, and try and look to be getting the early goal and then sit back on it. Of course, it's worked. Sometimes it hasn't worked. But United, of course, they're looking to keep their slim tart hopes alive, after Man City losing to Leeds yesterday. So I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw. I think both sides do have the ability to cancel each other out. There's match winners. They do match up, in terms of players on the pitch and the attributes. So I'm going to go for a draw today.
Yes, looking forward to watching this one as well, and hopefully we get a few goals like we got in the last game. Let's see if we can follow suit and have another 5-goal thriller. Right then, we're going to fetch in our main commentator now and say the first good afternoon to John Kane. And John, are you looking forward to this one today, mate?
Good afternoon, everyone, and hello, Ross. Yes, I am indeed looking forward to it. I think it's going to be, hopefully, it'll be as exciting as the previous game between West Ham and Leicester. Looking at the teams, I'm expecting to be a bit of sort of an attacking side from Man Utd to try and get a revenge of the return game, which ended 6-1 to Spurs a couple of months ago.
Yes, indeed. We're looking forward to watching this one then. Getting ready for kick-off. The players are out onto the field. So I'm going to hand over to your match commentary team, Matt Tiles. And first, John Kane.
Thank you, Ross, and good afternoon again, everyone, and welcome you here on Football Commentary Live for the game between Spurs and Manchester United. With me is Matt Iles. Good afternoon, Matt. If Matt, you can hear me?
Sorry, I think it was just a bit of a dodgy line there. You might have to repeat the question there, unfortunately. Sorry.
No, that's not a problem. I'm just welcoming you to the show and said welcome, Matt, being with us today for this match.
Yeah, good evening, John. Good afternoon, everybody listening in at home and wherever you are.
Thank you very much. Matt will be with me, but before we'll start the game, we've got a couple of minutes. Let's run over the teams for Spurs. Lloris on goal, Reguilon, Dyer, Rodden and Aurier. And midfield, Højbjerg and Ndombele. Just in front of them is Son, Lucas Moura and Giovanni Lo Celso. And up front is England captain Harry Kane. As for Manchester United, Dean Henderson in goal, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire, Shaw in defence. Just ahead of them, McTominay and Fred. And then going forward is Fernandes, Pogba and Rashford, and the lone striker of Cavani. We're actually witnessing a minute silent for the passing of the late Duke of Edinburgh, which give on behalf of everyone on Football Commentary our condolences to everyone in the United Kingdom. Matt, as we're observing this, what's your prediction for today's game? Obviously, we're not expecting a 6-1 thriller as it was in the return game for this.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Ross asked me the question earlier on, and I did say a draw. I think, obviously, it's going to be a very different game to the one back in sort of September, October time. So, it has got the ingredient to be an interesting encounter. I think Tottenham, as we know, these big games, they do tend to approach it in a very cautious manner, look to go in front and try and hold on to what they got. They did it against Arsenal. And it was very unsuccessful, but they have done it against Man City where it works. So it's a formula that is a mixed bag for them. But United, as we know, they're a team who like to sort of be quite bold at times. They can sort of just work their way into games and be patient. So I think it's a case of potentially both sides cancelling each other out. So I'm going to go with a draw today. I think Tottenham won't want to lose it, given that they've got a chance of potentially getting into the top four, and United will want to get a win, most definitely, to try and close the gap on Man City in the title race. But it's a game as well that they won't want to lose at all either.
Absolutely. I mean, just quickly, we're a couple of games away from the League Cup final between Manchester City and Tottenham Hotspur. Do you think that's on the mind on some of the players, or even Mourinho coming into this game, or would you be just thinking solely, or he's trying to motivate his players just to think solely of this game and forget about winning a trophy at last for Spurs?
Well, I think he's obviously taking one game at a time. I think, every game for Spurs now toward the end of the season in the league is going to be very important. So obviously when the League Cup game comes up in the week, he'll think about it and approach it and give it the preparation that it deserves. But of course, United are in town, second in the league. That's always going to take priority, isn't it? So the League Cup's obviously probably very firmly at the back of those Tottenham players and staff's minds.
We're seconds away from the start of this match. Spurs were playing from right to left in their usual white tops, and Manchester United were playing from left to right with their red tops. And in fact, the referee has just blown his whistle, and the boys with Man United going forward to Pogba, and has gone back towards Luke Shaw, who leaves it out to the first throw-in of the match. Man United, who had been very consistent of late. They come at the back of beating Granada away from home in the Europa League 3 days ago by 2-0. Of course, Tottenham drew to Newcastle in their last game, and they will try to get 3 valuable points if they can here to keep their chances up to reach the top 4. The ball with United, and that's a foul, but the referee let it play on, and it goes to a throw-in to Manchester United. We are going to expect a bit of, shall we say, looking at the players, some of the players, and Ndombele and especially Højbjerg, is quite a tight midfield, isn't it, for Spurs?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, both of them, I think it's probably Spurs' best combination. I mean, we know what Højbjerg's all about. He's breaking up the play and someone who's a real sort of terrier in that midfield, isn't it? Which I think Spurs had really missed under Mauricio Pochettino. And obviously, Jose Mourinho very early on identified that they needed that type of player. And Ndombele is a player who's really improved since he first came to Spurs. Good on the ball, technically good, low centre of gravity. And obviously, they both sort of do the combination play very well.
And they just had the first chance for Spurs. It was a great pass from Giovanni Lo Celso to Son. They passed it into Lucas Moura just outside the penalty area. A good hit, but it deflected off Luke Shaw, and it goes to the first corner of the match to Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah, it was really good play, wasn't it? It was nice setup by Son into Lucas, and he just manages to roll it into his right foot, but Luke Shaw stands firm, just gets in the way of the shot and gives away a corner. But positive, bright play from Tottenham very early on.
Absolutely. I do apologise. I've seems to have lost the actual connection for the game. Just trying to get back to it. I do apologise for the technical issue. We left it as a corner for Spurs a few seconds ago. Matt, if you can watch the match, if you just keep us updated while I can sort out the technical.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I do apologise for that, mate.
Yeah, I mean, now the corner just sort of whipped in. McTominay was on the 6-yard box. He headed it away. It came to Son, and he comes to him rather quickly and decides to take it on first time, and he just fires it over the bar. But United very much had a lot of their players back there. They'll see that Tottenham, do possess good players in the air that can be a real threat. And obviously, they very much did their homework and just kept a lot of players back there as Rashford's got the ball inside his own half. Here's McTominay. Now Fred has it for Man United. Out to Luke Shaw. Fernandez on it. What a player he's been for Man United ever since he arrived back in January of 2020. United's got a throw in Tottenham's half. We've seen early on so far that United have had the ball down Tottenham's left so far, more than they have down their right-hand side. Pogba can't get away from Lo Celso, and he manages to pass it to Serge Aurier, who just clears it out for a throw, which Maguire wasn't intent on letting that go out for a throw and headed it forward, which Fernandes couldn't quite keep it under control. And we are round about sort of 4 minutes into this encounter here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Here's Tottenham 0, Man United 0. As the throw-in is taken to Kane, Maguire out-jumps his England teammate. And Ndombele out to Sergio Reguilon. And of course, faced the Man United in the Europa League last year with Sevilla as he's bringing the ball forward, gets away from Rashford. He looks for the free kick as he thought he was pushed. Referee today is Chris Kavanagh. But he decided that Rashford acted within the laws of the game there and has let the advantage carry on as United just have possession. As I was speaking about what had actually happened between Rashford and Reguilon. Good play by Pogba and Shaw. Sees Shaw bring the ball forward in the Tottenham half. Just slows it down a little bit there. McTominay is the man who he finds in the midfield. Out to Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Now it's Marcus Rashford occupying a role on the right-hand side and looked for Edison Cavani, I think, and he's got the cross quite wrong there, and it's just sort of spun really in the air, and Hugo Lloris, the Tottenham keeper and captain, is able just to see that one go out of play for a goal kick, and Lloris has almost just got the ball down quickly and played it to Eric Dyer, who's one of 3 changes in the Spurs side for today's game, comes in place of Davinson Sanchez. Here is Eric Dyer on the ball inside his own 18-yard box. Aurier gets it back to Eric Dyer, who plays it forward for Harry Kane. Maguire is, you can see early on, got the man-marking duties of keeping Harry Kane quiet, which a lot of players have been unable to do in the last few years.
Absolutely. Well, there has been a leak as well, isn't it, from Harry Kane? Been so many rumours over the last couple of days, and obviously Danny Levy seems like he put a price on it of £170 million for if Kane decides to leave or if Spurs decide to sell. As a foul for Man United inside the Spurs half. We're playing in the 6th minute, and it's still 0-0 between Spurs and Man United. Of course, in the return game, we've already seen about 2-3 goals in the first 6-7 minutes. And it plays a foul forwards towards the left side of the penalty area, cleared by Ndombele. It goes to Paul Pogba. Pogba crossed it inside the penalty area, cleared by the Tottenham defender. Now Spurs are actually on the attack now. And Spurs actually with the ball. There's a foul for Spurs.
Yes. Serge Aurier that's gone down there. It was on the right-hand touchline, wasn't it? And obviously he's trying to just get away from Paul Pogba, who didn't really do a lot wrong. He certainly put a hand in Aurier's face just to try and fend him off. And to be fair, he doesn't really do a lot wrong there, Pogba. And obviously it goes Manchester United's way, that free kick.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure VAR will have a look at it and see if there's been any wrongdoing by Pogba. But looking at the replay, there's been an elbow sore, but I don't think Pogba actually knows anything about it. If that makes sense, it wasn't intentional as such.
You're absolutely right. No, as you said, he doesn't know a lot about it. He's just trying to hold off his sort of marker and just trying to get an advantage on him, isn't he? And you know, he's certainly within his rights to do that, no doubt about it.
There's a free kick for Man United with the captain Harry Maguire. Of course, we're going to see a lot of possible Maguire and Kane coming in Euros in a few months for England. And now Ndombele with the ball, surrounded by 3 players in the middle of the field. Get it to Son, get it back to Ndombele, but Ndombele couldn't take the control of the ball. And the ball was Rashford. And it's a foul for Man United. It was a good move by the Manchester United. And now plays quickly, but it's get taken away by Spurs. In fact, Giovanni Lo Celso with the ball. Bit of a tackle with the referee there for a second. And Celso is also one of the players who are back after a long injury for the Lily Whites. And Højbjerg is actually with the ball to Eric Dyer. It was actually quite weird to see, which is quite puzzling when it comes to Spurs, when it comes to the defence. Lucas Moura from the left-hand side towards Harry Kane, but Harry Maguire, in fact, Lindelof, just in front of Harry Kane to another corner kick to Spurs. It's quite a good move from Spurs at the moment going forward.
Yeah, it was. Lo Celso's really been involved in a lot of the action early on so far for Tottenham. And Lucas looks first time, knows exactly who he's going to try and pick out with that cross. It's a well stood up cross, but it's well watched by Lindelof. He just gets in front of Kane and has to head that out for a corner. Smart piece of defending by the Swedish defender.
Absolutely. He does get his criticism, Lindelof, but he's actually been a reliable player for the last couple of seasons or so for Manchester United.
I think what's very interesting to sort of see early on, John, is that Tottenham have, probably made more inroads toward any goal, haven't they? I mean, we've seen Lo Celso. I mean, he obviously got a start last week against Newcastle, and he's in the team today. You look at the start of it, he's almost occupying a position on the right-hand side, so Kane can lead the line, and Lucas is down the middle, but he's almost coming in the middle to link with the attacks, and in particular look to the right where he's going to be stationed more than the left. So he's someone who's so far inside these sort of opening 10 minutes been a real sort of key player that Tottenham have looked to try and create attacks.
Absolutely. Of course, when it comes to Spurs going forward, is not an issue, isn't it? It's actually defence, which Mourinho seems to be puzzled about. We have got the likes of Sanchez, Dyer, Rodden, and Alderweireld, and I think the way that Mourinho plays, sometimes he's finding it hard to get the right combination in that from the combined centre backs for Tottenham.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, obviously, he's gone with Joe Rodon and Eric Dyer today, and obviously, I think Mourinho does seem to like Eric Dyer as the centre back. Obviously, Alderweireld for me was a player a few years ago, was certainly the first name on the team sheet as a defender. But as he's getting on, I think Mourinho knows that he can't play every single week. So he's got to look elsewhere to see who his number one is. But I just don't think he really trusts his centre-backs at the moment. Hence why he's really chopped and changed throughout the campaign.
Absolutely. 11 minutes gone. Still 0-0 between Spurs and United. And the ball with Son. Pass it back to Højbjerg. Højbjerg put it to the left-hand side towards Reguilon inside the United area. And it goes to a throw into Spurs. Spurs so far seems to have quite of an attack in mind coming into this game. But as we mentioned earlier, it's not the attacking side that Spurs fans normally worry about. It's actually the defensive side of things. The ball goes just outside the penalty area, get taken by United. Pogba, surrounded by three players, to Fernandes, who clears it away to Shaw. Shaw forward to Marcus Rashford. Rashford inside the Spurs area. In fact, it was Fred. I do apologise, but he's been tackled well by Serge Aurier. And the ball back with the Spurs defence. Joe Rodon, the ex-Swansea player who seemed to be a good addition to the centre-backs that has been added recently to Spurs in January. Goes to Harry Kane. Harry Kane trying to cross it to the other side, but got deflected, but it ended up going back to Serge Aurier. To Lucas Moura. The ball still inside the Spurs area. I mean, we are seeing Spurs. They're trying to go forward, aren't they? So, and they're actually probably going to the plan of attacking a team which has actually got a valuable attacking players themselves in Man United, because any mistake by going forward to Spurs, it can be costly when you have Cavani, Fernandes, Rashford and Pogba going forward at you.
Absolutely. And I mean, obviously, a lot of the United's attacks do seem to go through, obviously, Fernandes, and obviously Rashford's the quickest out of the four that you've mentioned. So there is that worry that on the break, United can be very, very fast and very, very deadly. But this is a bit of a different Spurs that we're feeling. I think, obviously, I said about the Arsenal game in which they sort of were very reserved and, held back, which was a very Mourinho like sort of thing for him to do in a big game. But here they look to be sort of trying to move the ball a little bit quicker. They're in more, the opponents have that little bit more, and there is that little bit more space down the flanks, in particular down Luke Shaw's side for Manchester United defensively.
Absolutely. The ball was Lucas Moura to Sergio on the right-hand side of the United penalty area, but Luke Shaw was nearer to it. Deflected of Sergio Ray to a throw-in near the corner flag to United. Of course, United are in a good position in the league. Normally, we've seen it for years and years and years, United being top, but they're actually in 61 points, second place behind Manchester City on 74, which we'll probably say that is a done deal when it comes to the champions for this season. But United is still in a touching distance from sixth place of Liverpool, 9 points, but anything's possible in the next 8 games or so.
Of course, I think with Manchester United, they've had the mentality this year being very, very hard to beat. You've got to give a lot of credit to the mental side of the United team. It's sort of the United of old, isn't it? They might not get the plaudits for their attacking play, but they've been very consistent. They've been hard to beat. They've only lost 4 times in the league. They're unbeaten away from home in 22 Premier League games. So you've got to give, to be fair, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a lot of credit for what he's done at Manchester United. He's bought the right type of players in, not just maybe the quality, but I think their attitude and desire and things that maybe have been missing under previous sort of Man United managers in previous seasons.
Absolutely. I mean, sometimes you can't buy quality with money, as Mourinho probably figured out from his United days, because he was in charge when United bought Pogba for 100 million or so. And considering the player that actually got on a free transfer at some stage 2-3 years before that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think obviously, there had been the Louis van Gaal era where he almost did spend a little bit too much money, I think. And obviously, he really sort of got rid of a lot of good pros in the team. The side of sort of 2 years before had cruised to the last league title United won under Sir Alex Ferguson.
Absolutely. I mean, how much United fans will wish for the Alex Ferguson days to come back. A ball with Cavani into Rashford inside the penalty area, and he shoots, but deflected to the side of the bar and goes to corner to Manchester United. A great move by Manchester United here, especially for Marcus Rashford.
Yeah, it was. It all starts with that header from Paul Pogba. He's on the outside of Aurier. He's on his back pretty much, and he heads it straight into the Uruguayan's path. He then lays it onto Rashford. And he's got to really take it quickly, hasn't he, Rashford? He's not got a lot of time to think. He does do exactly that, but Eric Dyer with a really good sliding challenge and gets the block to concede a corner.
And it's a corner for United, first corner of the match for the Manchester team, from Luke Shaw, the well-improved Luke Shaw, and across it inside his 6-yard area, and it cleared by Harry Kane, and the referee whistles for a foul on one of the United players. It was a wasted corner.
Yeah, it was Maguire on Joe Rodon there. I think he's almost just maybe little tug on his shirt. I think that might be deemed as a little bit harsh for me because Maguire's very firmly got his eyes on the ball and nothing else. And obviously Rodon's in front of him. He does give him a little pull back on his shirt, but I think Rodon does maybe sell the referee there on that occasion.
We seem to have lost John Kane there at this moment in time. We'll hopefully try and get him back. And we appear to have gone back now. Are you back with us, John?
I am back. Yes, I do apologise. A few technical issues on my side, but I am back and ready. I do apologise for any technical issues that appear. And it plays ball towards Spurs up front, and it goes to Lo Celso on the left-hand side. Goes to Son. Son, the left-hand side of the penalty area. Try taking McTominay. Now Cavani joined in trying to get the ball off the South Korean, and it goes to a throw-in to Spurs. 80 minutes gone, and still 0-0 between Spurs and United.
Every time Heung-min Son has got the ball down this left-hand side for Spurs, you've seen at least 2 Man United players surrounding him every single opportunity. They know how much of a big threat he is, and they're trying to make sure he has as little impact as possible on this.
And the ball with Lo Celso. Lo Celso pass it on to Reguilon on the left-hand side. Try to cross it inside the penalty area, but it's a bad cross. It goes again to Son. Son trying to cross it himself, but it goes to corner, and there's another corner for Spurs.
Yeah, it's McTominay, isn't it? Just sort of elaborating what I was trying to say earlier. He's very much the one who's closing everything down of Heung-min Son, not allowing him any time on the inside or the outside. He's going to have to do a lot of running and covering a lot of ground this afternoon, and he's done that so far in sort of 19 and a half minutes.
Corner to Spurs, the third corner of the match for the Lily Whites. And it's going to be Heung-min Son who's going to take the corner from the left-hand side. There can be a threat, and the ball plays inside the 6-yard area, get deflected off Lucas Moura, but it goes to United. Now, United on the counter break. Paul Pogba with the ball, but managed great defending by Joe Rodden there just before the centre line for Spurs. Ball plays forward for United. Take nicked by Spurs. Harry Kane plays it to Lo Celso inside the penalty area. Lo Celso looking for a partner to pass the ball to. Pass it back to Reguilon. It's probably from a Spurs perspective, it's been really good having Lo Celso back because he's such a creative midfielder and he's probably underrated when it comes to the Argentinian.
Yeah, I think very much so. I think you could probably argue with that. And it certainly takes the burden a little bit off Heung-min Son, who's, you've got to say, the only one on the pitch, really, apart from maybe Lucas, who's the real creator. And I think it gives them a nice little balance because it just allows, sort of him to go on the right-hand side and fill a position and make up sort of two wingers and allow Son to play through the middle. So it's obviously made a tactical tweak. Mourinho's seen him as a winger, so he's very much going to play on the inside. So effectively, you look at it from a tactics point of view, he's very much playing as a right midfielder, but he's very much coming in as an inside man, almost acting like a number 10, playing in that middle. So he is someone who's, essentially for today's game, filling two positions.
Absolutely. The ball for Spurs on the right-hand side. And goes to Lucas Moura, trying to take on two players. Butter to Son. The ball still with Spurs. Spurs seem to be the more eager, trying to control the game as much as they can in the first half. And we have seen Spurs in so many times, as you mentioned earlier, they love to take the lead and then sit back. Ball to Lucas Moura on the right-hand side of the penalty area. Across it towards Heung-min Son, but into the hands of Dean Henderson, who's another good move for Spurs, but the finishing or the final touch is not really good enough at the moment. And the ball goes forward to United, but been taken from by Højbjerg. Højbjerg, the Danish from Southampton, who's been a fantastic buy when it comes to having a midfielder who actually reads the game so well, doesn't he? And take the pressure off of the other players in front of him. Yeah,
he does. He's very much very much like his namesake, a Great Dane, isn't he? Sort of like a dog in the midfield. Very, very, bites your leg sort of thing. Doesn't give you a lot of time and really gets at you, closes you down. He's an aggressive player and someone that I think Tottenham have been really crying out for in the centre of the park for a long, long time now. And I don't really ever remember sort of Tottenham teams having a player like Pierre-Emile Højbjerg who just breaks the play up and then just, gets it out quickly and gets the attacks going. He does that role very, very well. And we have seen a lot of the time since he went to North London, the good side of the Danish midfielder.
Absolutely. I mean, from a Spurs perspective, the last time I've seen someone who actually as close as Højbjerg would have been Stefan Freund, the ex-German player. And of course, people who are older than us probably will say Dave Mackay was a very good player when it comes to being the hard man in that midfield for Spurs throughout the years. The ball to Man United, but it goes to Marcus Rashford and it goes back to the Spurs defence. For Spurs have got many players. We've got Lloris, who's actually the French captain, and of course the World Cup winner. We've got Højbjerg, who's just been named Danish Player of the Year, as well as Heung-min Son, South Korean Player of the Year and Asian Player of the Year. And of course, Harry Kane up front being the England captain. So we have got a good combination. It's just a matter of there's few bits here and there that Mourinho can't really sort it out when you have so much talent like that. And the ball with Spurs. And Harry Kane goes back to United, trying to clear the ball. And it goes to another throw into Spurs. 24 minutes gone and it's still 0-0 between Spurs and Man United here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. As we said earlier, the United team looking for a revenge from the return game at Old Trafford a couple of months ago when Spurs came out victorious with 6-1, probably against all the odds, not just in winning, but also in the scoreline. Ball towards Harry Kane, cleared well by the United players, goes back to Ndombele in middle of the field. Ndombele try to take on players, use a couple of tricks. He's very tricky, the Frenchman, and he does use quite a few tricks. The ex-Lyon player. And ball with Sergio Aurier. Forward towards Lo Celso. Back to Aurier, but well intercepted by United. And now United are on the attack. Paul Pogba passing forward to Cavani. To Wan-Bissaka, but Bissaka was careless and has been well intercepted by Heung-min Son, who passed it back to the Spaniards Reguilon.
If I'd just like to just make a point, John, actually, I think you've seen a different Tottenham in these opening 25 and a half minutes. There's more of an urgency for them to go and win the ball back. The example was Wan-Bissaka had it. And I think sometimes with Man United, they might be a little bit guilty of just trying to be playing out a little bit too casually. And I think Spurs have tried to pounce on that. And Son won that back off Wan-Bissaka down that right-hand side, inside their own half, in an area that you wouldn't thought of real danger and any sort of sign of them getting towards the Tottenham goal, but it just shows that they don't want United to get that ball down the line to Rashford or even look to Cavani or Fernandes. There is that real desire for the Lily Whites today to go and win that ball back, and I think you have to give Mourinho, his team and his setup a little bit of credit for that, but of course, they just need to get a goal to really, make sure that the decent performance that they are having is sort of noted even further.
Absolutely. Of course, I think Spurs, if they need to sort of win the game, they need at least 2 goals, don't they? Because they know that United are more than capable of scoring. So going forward is quite well, and obviously trying to do the defensive side of it very well. But also they need to be very wary of the counter-attacks. And of course, we cannot mention Bruno Fernandes, don't we? Because he is probably the star of the Premier League at the moment, not just for Man United, but for the league as a whole.
Yeah, he's a real sort of poster boy in this United team, isn't he? I think obviously when he was signed, a lot of people sort of who sort of caught glimpses of him knew what a special player he was, but he's come to England and I think he's really added a massive dimension to United. He's taken them up, massive levels. I think obviously they were really missing that sort of player and they brought him in for big money and, we've seen where United lived, but Fernandes is someone who just seems to play football with no real pressure. Of course, he's, maybe you could say in that some of the big games he hasn't quite delivered as much, but he is still an important player. And I think he is someone who's first name on the team sheet in this United side for me.
Absolutely. I mean, of course, if people remember that just before he signed for United, he was close at signing to Spurs, but Daniel Levy, as we know, he wanted to pay a few £1 million less than the required fee from Sporting Lisbon. And that fell through, and then he came in United, and it'd been a magnificent buy for the Manchester club. Ball with Fred to Fernandes on the left-hand side, pass it towards Luke Shaw, and be well intercepted by the Dane Højbjerg, and goes to a throw into Spurs, throw into Man United, in fact. Plays a throw in towards Pogba. But it's well intercepted by the Spurs defence, but gets taken back from United. Now, Harry Kane trying to keep the ball, but it was well read by Harry Maguire, his England compatriot. And the ball is actually with Man United, with Fred in the middle of the park. I mean, we've seen earlier how good Jesse Lingard is, and you just wonder if actually it was a mistake or Solskjaer didn't know how to deal with a player as Jesse Lingard, as it proved to be a fantastic loan signing going to West Ham.
Yeah, I think, very much of Lingard. I think his form at West Ham has surprised people. I mean, we know that he has been a good player. I mean, there was sort of a time a few years ago where he looked a real bright spark for Man United. He was playing for England at the World Cup, and he looked like he could do no wrong. And then after that tournament, he kind of just teetered down. He hit a bad patch of form like every player. And I think it's been a real good move for all parties. Obviously, he was playing as the understudy to Bruno Fernandes, which is never an easy thing. And of course, he's identified that. He knew, 3 or 4 months into the season that he wasn't going to play. And obviously, footballers now, they need games, they need minutes. And it's worked out absolutely superbly for both Man United and for West Ham United.
Absolutely. And of course, Jesse Lingard wants to keep playing before the Euros to make sure that he is on the England squad comes the summer. The ball with United, with Cavani, it was a great interception by Ndombele. Go back to Giovanni Lo Celso. We're half an hour gone. Still 0-0 here at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Heung-min Son pass it back to Joe Rodden. And give it to Eric Dyer. Give it back to Lucas Moura. And Lucas Moura has been tackled legally by United player. And the most United are on the attack. Pogba. Pass it back to Fred. The ball inside the Spurs area. Fernandes. Great passing moves at the moment by the United team. And Fernandes crossed it towards the inside the penalty area, but it was a bit too much for Cavani and Rashford. We were expecting he was expecting Rashford and Cavani to go a bit more forward than they were. They were just outside the penalty area. The United players. Here comes Rashford again on the right-hand side. Rashford trying to get into the penalty area, and Rashford goes down, and there's a call for a foul, but the referee says play on. Couldn't see anything wrong with it, and now Spurs and Harry Kane towards Lucas Moura and got intercepted by Victor Lindelof. Don't know if you've seen that, Matt, but doesn't look like that. It was actually a foul as far as Chris Kavanagh is concerned on Marcus Rashford on the edge of the penalty area.
No, he's let a lot go, hasn't he? I mean, it was Lo Celso who was the man who certainly had his sort of leg on the ankles of Marcus Rashford. I mean, you probably have to say that is a free kick, in all fairness. I think there is, again, sort of maybe just a hand in the face on Rashford. Not a lot Lo Celso could do about it. I mean, it was pretty similar to the Pogba one on Serge Aurier very early on in the game, wasn't it? So you probably have to say United could feel a little bit hard done by with that free kick, simply because he has got his sort of foot, on the back of Rashford's ankles, and it's obviously right in a dangerous position. But of course, Rashford probably just felt a little bit of contact in the face, and the protocol with referees these days, if there is a player down on the floor, the ball has to go out of place so they can receive treatment. But as soon as Shaw did that, it was a very, very quick for Rashford to step up off his feet, wasn't it? Which I did notice.
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at the replay, you see, I think that's the one thing that actually the referee don't want to get fooled of. Even if you get fouled, don't overreact. And it seemed like Rashford overreacted a bit in going down with that tackle. Ball with Pogba to Cavani. Fred inside the Spurs area. Fred cross it to the right-hand side to Wan-Bissaka. Bissaka. Now, United on the move. Bissaka once again goes to McTominay. The ball is still inside the Spurs area, in the middle of the Spurs area, and goes to Fred, to Pogba. Pogba inside the penalty area. Pass it to Cavani. Cavani shoots and he scores! Edison Cavani, the Uruguayan superstar, has scored for Manchester United. A great goal for Spurs. A great goal for Man United. Spurs players are complaining. Possible offside or a foul.
It's a foul on Son. They're saying it's a foul on Son. McTominay gets away from him. There is that hand in the face on Heung-min Son. We said about minimal contact with Lo Celso on Rashford, Pogba on Aurier. There was a bit more one in the face here, and I'm pretty sure that VAR is going to take a good look at this. But in terms of the goal, Pogba does really well. Just keeps the ball at his feet. He just waits and waits. Cavani's onside, perfectly timed run. And he plays the ball at the exact moment it should be played, Pogba. For me, Aurier's got to go in there and make the challenge. Eric Dyer's ball watching. He's fast asleep. Cavani makes the perfect run. He's done goals like that throughout his entire career. PSG, of course, is where he scored so many of his goals throughout his career. Gets in that position. He's never going to miss. Under the legs of Hugo Lloris. 1-0 to Manchester United.
It's a great goal for United. Of course, Spurs will be complaining regarding the foul. Looking at the replay, Matt, it looks like it was a bit of an intention from McTominay towards the face of Heung-min Son. And of course, VAR are still looking at it now.
Possibly to me, John, I mean, it just feels like he's trying to fend him off, isn't he? You know, that is a very debatable one to give. I mean, you know, he's receiving the word in his ear right now, isn't he? Chris Kavanagh. So it's very, very difficult. It's accidental by McTominay. I don't know if he's actually truly meant it, but there is a lot of contact in his face. So it is very, very difficult to see. I've seen them given. I haven't seen them given. You know, it's a fair balance through the middle.
Absolutely. I think this one should be really for Chris Kavanagh to have a look at the screen himself, really. But, and of course he is now. And I think that is the right thing to do from the referee, just to have a look at it himself and decide if that contact was minimum or is actually being justified.
Well, that's what VAR has been brought in for, isn't it? There was a lot of criticism on referees last year throughout the season that they weren't looking at the monitors themselves and they were receiving the word from the VAR. You know, that's what's been better about it this season in particular. It still has its flaws, doesn't it? But obviously, that's come about it here. So obviously, he's making his decision now, John.
Absolutely. And of course, the decision has gone the Spurs' way and the goal has been disallowed, which people can argue that it was a minimum contact, but it was way before the goal. So, and of course, if there was a contact, especially on the face, I think the referees would have got much more criticism if they haven't ruled out the goal, to be fair to the referee.
Well, you watch it. I mean, as I said, you do see it. I can see why it has been ruled out, but then I can see that it's a very harsh one for Man United to stomach, especially Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who isn't very, very happy about it. And it's usually sort of Mourinho is very much opposing the decisions made by the referee. So I can kind of agree with the referee and I can kind of feel a little bit sorry for Scott McTominay. But of course, it still stays at 0-0 and it is a level playing field once more.
Absolutely. And now Spurs, in fact, goes to Harry Kane, who's on offside position. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, like you said, he's still not happy. And he's still talking to the fourth official regarding that. And I mean, we've seen so many times this season that people who disagreed with VAR's decision. And people do blame VAR, don't they? But from my personal perspective, I think VAR is a fantastic thing to be brought in. The only problem is actually the people who were behind the screens who actually made the mistakes. It's not the actual VAR itself.
Yeah, I think what the problem was with it originally was it was supposed to help the referees, but you never really saw the referees go to the monitor. That was the big issue with it. But now that's sort of been introduced more for this season. It is starting to help the referees and not just be made by a man almost essentially behind a screen.
Absolutely. I mean, been watching the La Liga quite late in the last season, and to be fair, La Liga have been using it much more. Now, Son inside the penalty area, he's got surrounded by two players. Passed it back to Højbjerg. Go back to Reguilon and back to Rodden inside the Spurs half. Yeah, the La Liga, before the criticism of the Premier League, they've been using it quite a lot when you'll see nearly every single time the referees going and checking themselves rather than actually leaving it to the man behind the screen, which is probably the right thing to do. And now it's good to see the Premier League head it and they're using that discretion, which is well needed, because at the end of the day, it's the referee who makes a decision in that pitch. Now, Heung-min Son, just outside the penalty area. Son to Harry Kane. Harry Kane is still inside the penalty area. Trying to shoot, but there's no one inside the 6-yard area. but it goes to Reguilon to the right-hand side. Spurs still with the ball. It was a great chance for Spurs there with Harry Kane, who tried to pass it or even possible shoot it. But either way, there was no Spurs player inside that 6-yard area with a golden touch a minute ago.
I think he's gone for goal there, Harry Kane. In truth, Son does really well to give it to. He gets a little bit lucky because I think it takes a deflection off a Manchester United defender, and it comes to Kane, and it is a wild shot from him in truth, and it goes away from the goal. But you do have to make you do make a very good point, John. You expect someone at the back post to make that run. You know, Lucas or Giovanni Lo Celso. I mean, United players were all very much tucked in, narrow, trying to defend that, and you would have had a clean run to try and get on the end of it.
Absolutely. There were two Spurs players just outside the 6-yard area. I mean, Harry Kane is in there, you would think, then just to give the ball. And by Lucas Moura to Heung-min Son. Heung-min Son scores! And now Spurs are in the lead in the 39th minute. Heung-min Son, the South Korean, have put Spurs in the lead. 3 minutes ago, it was United put us in the league. It was disallowed goal. But now Solskjaer looks really, really upset with Spurs going 1-0 up. 6 minutes just before the game, and you can understand it from Solskjaer's point of view, Matt, that his team probably deserved to be up, or at least 1-1 now if Spurs have scored. But it was a good move by Lucas Moura to Heung-min Son, and then from just outside the 6-yard area, the South Korean in the back of the net.
Yeah, absolutely. And it comes from really the first pass made in that move was from Tanguy and Ndombele. He's got a lot of time, and you cannot give the French midfielder time because he can pick out a pass. He plays a beautiful one right in front to Harry Kane, who's down the middle. He then lays it first time to Lucas Moura. He knows, Harry Kane, if he can get that away from Lindelof, who's touch tight to him, and get it through to Lucas, he's got a chance. Lucas, as we know, very unselfish, sees Heung-min Son in the corner of his left-hand eye, plays it across, and the South Korean has got an easy chance. He must be about 5-6 yards out. Dean Henderson tries his best to spread himself, can't do it enough, probably leaves still too much of his near post, but he's not the blame necessarily, Henderson. And it comes to Heung-min Son, and he manages to stick the chance to it the first time of asking. Brilliant finish, 1-0 to Spurs.
And now United on the attack from the left-hand side, got towards Cavani. And now there seems to be altercation between Cavani and Rodon. Rodon's on the ground and Cavani's not happy. And it seems to be, I think, sort of the disallowed goal has just put a bit of a bad vibe especially on the United players, haven't they, Matt?
Well, the ball goes into the box, and Joe Rodon does really well to just shut the door on Cavani. It looked like it was going to be teasing for the Uruguayan, and then obviously, Cavani takes exception to it. It's a really good ball in by Fernandes down the left-hand side. There is an arm on Cavani's face, but he doesn't swing. Joe Rodon, he keeps his arm in front of him just to stop him. It is in his face. Cavani's not reacted kindly to it. He's got himself a really cheap booking, but as you said, I think that's still frustration from about 5 minutes beforehand that his goal got ruled out. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is a man looking like he's ready to explode with anger, isn't he, John?
I know. I mean, normally Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who had the baby face, didn't he, throughout his life when he was playing for Man Utd, and probably has gone a bit sour in the last year or so since joining Manchester United. And obviously, the stress of being a manager of such a big club is probably the biggest club in the world with the Madrids and the Barcelonas, and the stress can be quite high. And when you see your team have a goal disallowed, and obviously, they've got their own interpretations. The United bench, it doesn't really make Ole Gunnar Solskjaer happy at all coming towards the end of the first half.
Just before Tottenham did score that, United were just maybe creeping back into the game. They've not really done enough in the game to really impose themselves, Manchester United. They had that really good move from Cavani, which was at the time the best move of the game before Spurs scored that really good team goal with Heung-min Son finishing, but it's a real kick in the teeth, and obviously it's got more ammunition. It's got the United players angry because they'll feel that the goal was harshly ruled out. So, Solskjaer, I think, is certainly not going to be a very happy man at halftime, and don't be surprised if he does go over to Chris Kavanagh and his officials to receive some explanations, which no doubt I don't think he's actually going to receive during the halftime break.
No, absolutely, and but of course Solskjaer needs to be careful. Because we have seen referees who've given yellow cards to managers who disagree so much at halftime. And Of course, the incident with Cavani and Rodden a couple of minutes ago probably doesn't really help situations. Wan-Bissaka to Rashford just outside the penalty area, but trying to take away from Heung-min-son. And it goes to a corner to United. And Heung-min-son is still on the ground. And there's another. It's going to be quite a heated game, isn't it, from now on? And unless the both managers try to calm both their players, we're going to see quite a few altercations between the United and the Spurs players in the second half.
Yeah, he's given actually a goal kick, John, fun enough for that.
Yes, it is. Yes, do apologise. Yeah.
Went off Marcus Rashford. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It does feel like maybe the spark has just been lit, and obviously the fireworks are maybe just going to get bigger and bigger, aren't they, in this game? We've seen a few little niggly fouls, a few little altercations, a little bit of fracas, if you like, and I think that offside, well, the goal sort of being overturned by VAR from Cavani has almost, been that trigger point in this game for both sides to get a little bit fiery. And you can see it now with Højbjerg and then Fernandes leaving one in. And as we know, Fernandes is a player that certainly doesn't let his emotions lie down quietly.
Absolutely. And he has given a foul to Spurs, and Fernandes is arguing with the referee. And I mean, it's good that it came to halftime, because we don't want to see players being sent off for dissents or for retaliations from players in general terms. But Fernandes is pointing out that actually an elbow has been used by Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. Of course, the ball gone to the Spurs way, and now we're entering the stoppage time, which is going to be 3 minutes at a time. Of course, the VAR has played its part with the stoppage time, and Luke Shaw managed to take the ball from the left-hand side. Shaw, the ball still inside the Man Utd area, and a bit of pressure from the Spurs forwards, but managed to cross it to the other side to Wan-Bissaka, to Pogba, and there's a foul. And that's another sort of semi-altercation, isn't it? Pogba and Harry Kane, but they seem to be quite civvy about it this time around. And Harry Maguire and United looking for the equaliser. They thought they took the lead, but that lead was dissolved by the VAR intervention 10 minutes to go or so. And now United are back with the ball. Of course, United and Solskjaer probably will be happy with the way they played United, and considering that they would think they actually have scored a goal and they're more than capable of scoring a goal in Lloris's net, but the VAR has intervened this time round. Fernandes on the left-hand side of the penalty area chips it towards Paul Pogba, but is well cleared by Spurs, but still in the penalty area, and goes still with Pogba, and he goes to Fernandes. Fernandes crosses it towards Edison Cavani, but it's a bit too high for Edison Cavani, and it goes to a throw-in to Tottenham Hotspur. We've still got a minute and a bit left of stoppage time, but wherever there is Fernandes, there is danger for United, is there?
Absolutely. Pogba sets it up very, very nicely. Pogba's got really nice close control. I've seen him do that a few times. I've seen him do it for the goal. It goes to Fernandes, and he just, for me, rushes his cross. He looks up. He knows exactly what he was looking for. Cavani was free as a bird as a back post. And if he is able to get the cross down Fernandes and, plant it on Cavani's head, that is 1-1 to Manchester United. And that is twice now Tottenham have let Cavani free in the box. They've got to keep a close eye on him, because you give him a chance, he will score.
Absolutely. And now it's probably going to be United's last chance to try and equalise. Luke Shaw crossed it inside the penalty area, cleared by Eric Dyer. It goes back to United. Again, on the attack to Paul Pogba on the left-hand side of the penalty area, trying to cross it, but well intercepted by Eric Dyer, who clears the ball forward, and it goes to the Man Utd player. That's good pressure from Manchester United, just coming towards the end of the half. The ball with Marcus Rashford. Rashford to Wan-Bissaka. It will be, in fact, probably United's last chance trying to equalise and trying to compensate the goal that has been disallowed. It's going to be a big talking point coming to half-time. And in fact, the whistle has been blown by Chris Kavanagh, with Spurs leading by 1-0. A good goal by Heung-min Son and Spurs, but I think the talking point will be, Matt, is the disallowed goal and the effect off McTominay off before Cavani has scored. And in fact, we do see players are talking with Chris Havana, the United players, and they're not happy. And like you said, you can understand the frustration. It's not a crybaby or bad losers. It is a decision that could have gone either way, hasn't it?
It is, and I think every situation when that occurs, you're always thinking about it, and it's always a real strong argument for both sides, isn't it? And I mean, Maguire and I think Luke Shaw was there. We're wanting a word with Chris Kavanagh. The players were trotting off at halftime. It is a very debatable red card. Very debatable sort of foul, isn't it, from McTominay, if you like? It is. You know, as I said on commentary, I'm still undecided on it. I've seen both sides to it. I think McTominay is a little bit harsh, but I can see why it was given. So it is. It's how you look at it. It's not an elbow. It's a hand in the face. It is, a hand in the face sort of thing. So it's such a tight decision to give. And, that is, as you pointed out, the talking point. But at the end of the day, Tottenham are 1-0 up with what was the best move of the game, with Son scoring that first time finish in the box.
Absolutely, and Spurs will not care much less about the disallowed goal now, as it happened. But we would just hope, possibly that, or probably we think that probably one of the things that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will be saying is for his players to keep their nerves down, because that he already got 2 players on the yellow, and that is McTominay and Cavani, and he doesn't want to increase that come in the second half or even turning the yellow into red, because that will put United in the biggest trouble if they go with that mentality come to second half.
Yeah, definitely. I think obviously McTominay and Cavani, as you said, have both been booked. I think obviously, we saw with Cavani, his was out of retaliation on Joe Rodon. So the big thing that he's got to do is he's just got to try and keep his temper intact. We know with Bruno Fernandes, I thought he was very lucky to escape with a yellow card for that sort of little retaliation flick or kick, whatever you want to call it, on Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. So, those United players, especially toward the end of the first half, really did sort of lose their cool, and the mask was sort of slipping in that respect. So it's very important, particularly for those book players, that they remain calm and keep discipline, because the last thing that United need, being 1-0 down and their unbeaten away record being put on the line as much as it is, in a real test of what it is getting a man sent off.
Absolutely. I mean, I appreciate Spurs are 1-0 up, but there's no way it's actually game over, isn't it? Because United had their good spells, and United are United, and like you said, they're in a very good form, especially away from home. So with Spurs going 1-0 up, it doesn't mean that Spurs actually guaranteed the 3 points.
No, of course it doesn't. I mean, obviously Spurs will know that United will be going out in the second half hurt, obviously, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer spoke about it after his press conference on Thursday, that they're pretty angry about the game, that what happened when they lost 6-1. They were exacting revenge, and obviously they'll feel hard done by, and as I said, they'll be hurting. So Tottenham will know they'll be going out there with a reaction. We've just got to make sure that they, are prepared for that, and it just doesn't, come and hit them essentially like a steam chain. They've got to manage the game well. And I think that's what the question has been with Spurs. They didn't manage the Newcastle game well last week, but United is different animal, better quality players. No disrespect to Newcastle. So the first 10, 15 minutes of this second half will be very, very crucial to those Tottenham players.
Absolutely indeed. Matt and John, go and get some water, go and have a break, and we'll fetch you back in time for the second half, as Tottenham currently lead 1-0 against Manchester United, as the game is played out in the first half. We'll look at some of the scores from earlier on then in the Premier League. Burnley 1, Newcastle United 2, West Ham United 3, Leicester City 2, 1-0 to Tottenham at half time, as you've just heard there from John Kane and Matt Iles. Later, we've got John Stuttard, aka JB, making his football commentary live debut as Sheffield United take on Arsenal in the evening kickoff. Currently 2-1 up, Rangers are against Hibernian in the Scottish Premiership. The already crowned champions are leading by 2-1. Rebo and Kent with the goals for Rangers. Nesbitt on target for Hibernian. On the score sheet in the Burnley game was Vidra for Burnley before Murphy and St Maxim pulled Newcastle and turned it around and put Newcastle 3 points on the board. West Ham won 3-2 against Leicester, as I mentioned. Lingard with a brace, Jared Bowen, Ian Acho with 2 for the Foxes. Young-Min Son's goal on 40 minutes with the goal, only goal here after the disallowed goal by Edison Cavani for a foul by McTominay. And what I was looking at, I was listening to you, I was having a look to see why they disallowed that goal and what they were also looking at after disallowing the goal. They was also looking at whether to give McTominay a second yellow after already being booked. But they felt it was an accidental foul by McTominay, still a foul, so free kick, accidental, no goal for Manchester United. And Tottenham went on into the lead. And like John said on commentary, best move of the game in that first half. Japan won 7-0 against Panama, should I say, earlier in the Women's International Friendly. Villarreal lost 2-1 to Osasuna. Garcia and own goal for Villarreal. Won Kayala and Budimir for Osasuna. For Valencia, they've drawn 2-2 Real Sociedad. Was with a penalty on 60 minutes. Gabriel on 73. That was after Guevara and Isaac put Real Sociedad 2 goals to good up. Gomez was sent off for a second bookable offence for Valencia in the 80th minute. Real Valladolid against Granada kicks off in about 5 minutes time, and then later Real Betis take on Atletico Madrid as well. Currently, Schalke won beat against Augsburg by a goal to 0. See it all there on 4 minutes with the only goal of the game. SC Cologne losing by a goal to 0 to Mainz after 24 minutes. Botius on 11 with the goal there. Inter beat Cagliari 1-0 in Serie A. Darmian on 77 minutes. Juventus won 3-1 against Genoa. Kulusevski on 4 minutes. Morata on 22 and McKennie on 70. But Scamacca pulled one back for Genoa on 49 minutes. Sampdoria 0, Napoli 2, Ruiz and Osimhen with the goals 35 minutes and 87 minutes. Lazio won 1-0 against Hellas Verona. Milinkovic Savic with the goal in the 92nd minute. Roma currently being held to a 0-0 draw with Bologna. Rennes 1-0 up against Nantes. Terrier on 52 minutes for Rennes. Brest 1-1 with Nemens of Con put Nemens 1-0 up on 11 minutes. Chaudinet equalised on 26 for Brest. Lens won 4-1 against El Orient. Kakuta with a penalty on 60 minutes, but Lens in front. Moffi equalised on 29 minutes, but then goes from Gen on 39. Kalamendu on 55 minutes, should I say, and Bonanza on 88 minutes from the penalty spot. Nice and Rem drew 0-0 in their match. Saint Etienne 4-1 winners against Bordeaux. Iwang on 9 minutes for Bordeaux, but Kazri with an hat-trick, 19 minutes penalty, 23 minutes and a 71st minute penalty. Plus a goal from Yusuf in the 81st minute with the goals there. Monaco 2-0 up on 63 minutes against Dijon. Jovetic on 49 minutes and a goal less than minutes from Ben Yedder, leading Dijon in that game. Lyon against Angers is an 8 o'clock kickoff this evening. And goals from De Villa, penalty on 41 minutes, Suito on 53 and win on 90 minutes helped Wellington Phoenix come from behind to beat Western United by 3 goals to Borussia put Western United in the lead on 32 minutes from the penalty spot. De Villa equalised from the penalty spot in first half stoppage time. Suito then put Wellington Phoenix back into the front for the first time on 53 minutes for Rutenex. Velajo on 56 minutes with that goal for Wayne. Still the victory for Wellington Phoenix in stoppage time at the end of the second half. There's just some of the goal scores in some of our matches which we have let you know the scores of today. We've got a couple more. We've got another live match coming up for you Later on today, that is Sheffield United against Arsenal at 7 o'clock. Join John Stuttard, aka JB, for commentary on that one. And that kicks off at 7 o'clock this evening. We'll probably be on air around about 7:15 this evening for build-up and commentary on that one. Then join myself, Russ Vernon, alongside Nicholas Jones at 7 o'clock on Thursday evening as Rotherham United take on Coventry City in the Championship. Rotherham trying to stay in the division. This time around, we've got some plenty of games in, and they've got 4 games. Well, they've got 3 games they've got 4 games coming up. Tuesday they take on QPR at 7 o'clock. Then they have got coverage. Then they've got Coventry, which we're covering here on Football Commentary Live. Then they've got Birmingham next Sunday at midday. Then they play Middlesbrough the following Wednesday, also at 6 o'clock that one. So the pretty 4 games coming up for Rotherham United. They had Huddersfield yesterday, drew 0-0. Rotherham United battling to stay in the Championship. Reading and Cardiff going for the playoffs. We'll be bringing that one with Nicholas Jones at 6 o'clock on Friday evening. And then we'll hopefully have some commentary matches next weekend. But just to point out that the Football League matches next week in the EFL Football League, so in the Championship, League 1, League 2, those matches scheduled for 3 o'clock will kick off at a later time or an earlier time due to the funeral of His Royal Highness Prince Philip, where we have, in all of our matches so far today, observed a 2-minute silence for him, and we'll be doing that later on as well, and we're doing it in the matches, and they'll be doing it in the matches tomorrow as well. There may be additional commentary coming up on Football Commentary Live. Stay tuned to our Twitter feed and stay tuned to our Twitter feed, and we'll let you know that the Twitter handle is a Commentary Live one, where you can hear all our coverage on there as well for the game tomorrow. Games that we've got coming up, and if we fetch one of the games tomorrow in the Premier League, you'll find out first there. So some great matches that we've had today so far. We've already had 1 goal in this. Hopefully we can get another 4, so we're going to have a 5-goal thriller like we had in the last game. I don't think it'll be a 6-1 like it was at Old Trafford earlier on in the season. Just going to fetch in our co-commentator again just before the second half gets underway. And man, looking at the way both teams play in that first half, who do you think will be the happier of the 2 managers with their team's performance at the break?
Well, I think you look at Tottenham, they'll certainly be delighted with the fact that they're 1-0 up and leading against Man United. Obviously, we know about the personal sort of issue that Mourinho will have. It will sort of be something as a bit of a grudge match maybe, but of course he'll play it down. But he is someone for me who I think really does sort of thrive off that. But the way they've played Tottenham is a little bit different in how they've set up against a top 6 sort of side, if you like, in Manchester United. They've gone about them at times. They've been a little bit quicker moving the ball. I mean, the goal that they scored was as good a team goal as you're probably going to see in the Premier League this season in terms of one-touch passing and being it very slick and very smooth. United, I don't think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer can be too disappointed with that. I think they played okay. The end of the half, they did lose their discipline just a little bit, of course. They lost their cool. But, the thing with it is, United, as John Kane rightly pointing out, they are very capable of scoring at any opportunity. Cavani put that ball in the back of the net, whether or not it was a foul or not is contentious. Son is certainly dominating the back page headlines in this one, isn't he? So it's interesting to see. But Mourinho will be happier, but I don't think Solskjaer will be too angry. I think the only thing he's going to be angry about is Chris Kavanagh and that decision to chalk off Cavani's goal.
Yes, I would have to agree with you there. The players are almost getting ready for second half right now as the players are back out onto the field of play. So what I'm going to hand over to our commentary team of Matt Iles and first of all, John Kane.
Thank you, Ross, and welcome back here to the second half of Tottenham Hotspur Stadium between Tottenham Hotspur and Manchester United. The first half ended 2-0 through Heung-min Son 3 minutes before the end. Of course, a disallowed goal that is going to be spoken to about probably for next day or so, and it's the effects of VAR on the English game in particular. Spurs were playing from left to right, and Man United in the second half were playing from right to left. There's a foul for Spurs inside the Man United area. There's a foul on Ndombele. And of course, Spurs will be eager to get the second goal in this game as early as possible to try to put more pressure on United, especially that if the mental side of things for the United players is still with a bit of anger, which really would not help United's case in any way, shape or form, hasn't it, Matt?
No, it wouldn't. I mean, obviously, if Tottenham got a second goal, you would think it would clinch it for them. But of course, United, it's going to be interesting. I said at the back end of the first half, the first 15 minutes are crucial for both sides. Do United really impose themselves, or do they still wait? Because as we know, they have got attacking quality. They've come from behind numerous times this season. They did it against Brighton last Sunday, and obviously they've got to try and do it again if they have to get something from this. But Tottenham, they might be expecting United to be hurt, to be angry, given what has happened in this game. So they've got to kind of expect maybe a bit of an onslaught and kind of mentally be prepared for the fact they might have to do a bit of defending. But it's going to be interesting to see. But a bit of a cliche and a bit boring, but the next goal, well and truly in this game, is so important because it will change the dynamic massively and psychologically.
The ball with Man United. It goes with Wan-Bissaka. So far, 2 minutes inside his second half, we haven't seen any kind of altercation. So we'd think that United players are keeping their calms. And now United on the attack. And Bruno and Marcus Rashford just inside the penalty area. Rashford try to take on two players just outside the area, but it was well intercepted by Sergio. A great move by United there. But now Spurs on the counter-attack. Aurier is still with the ball inside the United area, but there's a foul. But in fact, the referee says play on. Aurier is down and the ball towards Harry Kane. Harry Kane just outside the penalty area. He's trying to chip it up above Dean Henderson, who's the right idea, but it ended up nowhere for Tottenham Hotspur. And there's another yellow card, this time for Fred. We were talking about the discipline in both teams, but Fred got the first early yellow card in the second half, Matt.
Yeah, he was never really getting there against Serge Aurier, was he? And obviously it was just before that Rashford had that opportunity. Fred was late, can have no complaints about the booking. And obviously, as you said, that's both midfielders now booked for Manchester United. But Rashford had that chance. It comes into it. It's a lovely little layout. He takes, for me, 3 or 4 extra touches that he doesn't need to make. He manages to shift on his left foot. He can fire it across the wrist. We know what Rashford's finishing is like. It is very, very good. But on this occasion, decided against it. And obviously, Kane had that chance where he chipped it over the keeper and put it over. But, in quick time, United had a decent opportunity. In Tottenham, as you know, they've been quicker. They've been a little bit faster today. Broke down the other end with that Kane opportunity, but he was unable to get on target.
Like you mentioned, both midfielders now is being yellow carded, and you look at the bench, there's a possibility that you will see probably Matic or Van de Beek replacing 1 or 2 of the players just to avoid the red card. Luke Shaw inside the penalty area and get across, and so actual shot towards Hugo Lloris from just outside the penalty area, and it's a good block by the Frenchman. Good move by Man United, and a good, well thinking by Wan-Bissaka, but this time Lloris was on guard for this shot.
Yeah, Tottenham were caught sleeping. Reguilon was too square, wasn't he? And Son's obviously not really got that defensive nous, has he? And he's just sort of asleep, really. He doesn't really know what to do. And Wan-Bissaka goes round the back of them. For me, he's trying to pull it back across, and he's almost volleyed it toward goal. But Lloris, to be fair, was positioned well, and he was able to just sort of keep it out of the net. Unfortunately, he couldn't quite catch it at first, but he managed to just sort of keep it intact and not allow the opportunity to fall to a red shirt.
Absolutely. And there's a foul for Tottenham. just inside their own area. It was against Luke Shaw. And Spurs with the ball. And you can see there's a pressure from the United forwards, aren't they? And the attacking midfielders on the defences. And we have got a player down. We've got Højbjerg who's down. And to be fair, I did not see what exactly happened. But this is what we've been talking about. We don't want to see sort of any kind of off-the-field issues or harsh tackles on players based on what happened in the first half.
Well, I don't actually think it's actually any sort of off-the-ball incident. I think it's more just a natural injury, isn't it? I think he might have just maybe overstretched when he tried to play the ball across to the left-hand side. You can just sort of see, I think it's his sort of foot gets planted into the ground, and it might be his knee that might be the issue, of course. But it's quite hard to tell, and obviously he's gone down from that. But you made an earlier point. Man United very early on in this second half, sort of 6 minutes to be intact. They've very much gone right in Spurs' face in terms of trying to win the ball back. I think they made it a bit too easy for their hosts in terms of bringing the ball out of play and sort of just going back. But, you know, that's a bit of a difference that we've seen from Manchester United. And, of course, they're looking to try and maybe make the difference there. And obviously there was seeing the replays in front of us, you can just see Fernandes did just sort of leave a sort of stud, just sort of brush the leg of Højbjerg. They've had quite a personal battle in that midfield, haven't they, them two? But it looks like Højbjerg's going to be okay to continue.
Yeah, absolutely. You spotted better than me. It was off the game of the player injury. And now Lucas Moura trying to pass it on to Human Son, but it was careless from Lucas Moura. And it goes back to Man United. Now United with Luke Shaw with the ball inside their own area. Now you can see Spurs players are pushing pressure on the United defence. And it cleared by Dean Henderson to Wan-Bissaka on the left-hand side. 6 minutes gone, and Spurs still leading from that goal in the first half by Human Son by a goal to nil. And now Fernandes with the ball. Now United on the attack. Fernandes, a good pass to Wan-Bissaka just inside the penalty area. Wan-Bissaka to Pogba. Pogba trying to cross it inside the 6-yard area, and Cavani shoots. Oh, it was a great move by Manchester United and Edinson Cavani. It looks like the ball's been deflected from just inside the 6-yard area, and it goes to a corner to Man United. It was a good move by Manchester United.
Yeah, we've seen Wan-Bissaka get forward a little bit more, haven't we? And he gives it to Pogba. It's a really good ball in, difficult for any defender to deal with, and Joe Rodon just has to stab that out for a corner as Cavani was lurking behind him.
It's a corner for United from the right-hand side. And corner plays inside the 6-yard area, cleared by the England captain, Harry Kane, as far as Fred, and Fred carelessly kicks it out to a throw-in to Spurs. I mean, Joe Rodon has been a good buy, hasn't he? I know he hasn't come from the big money signings, but he has done his bit for Spurs every time that actually he's been told to go and wear the shirt for the Spurs defence. Yeah,
I think you've got to say he's actually stepped up to the Premier League level very, very well. I mean, Tottenham are an elite club, aren't they? You know, they're in a real a Premier League established side, one of the big clubs in England. He's done a good job, hasn't he? Does the easy things very, very good. He's just a very well, all-rounded defender, isn't he? I think, obviously, you know, when he's got Dyer in there, he's got Dyer to almost do the passing, but he's strong, he's physical. You know, he's very switched on. His positioning, I think, is his main strength, and that has been very much on show this afternoon. I think you can be very happy with the games he played. I remember seeing him at Chelsea earlier in the season with Frank Lampard, and he did a really good job in keeping the Chelsea forwards quiet down the middle. And, he let Cavani have that one chance in which he put away. Unfortunately, it was chalked off. But since then, he has done a very good job in keeping the Uruguayan striker very, very quiet in this game.
Absolutely. I mean, we speak about how good Cavani is before he came to the Premier League, but with his age and the goals that he scored for Paris Saint-Germain, people probably got their eyebrows up a bit, thinking what we could expect from Cavani. But to be fair, he has been a superstar, hasn't he, since he arrived, not just with his goals, but with his contribution to the game in general going forward for Man United.
Yeah, he has done a solid job, hasn't he, Edinson Cavani? I mean, at his age, he's somebody who, we saw United signing, as you said, it was eyebrows raised. He didn't have, to my knowledge, a particularly great season with Paris Saint-Germain, his last one anyway in the French capital.
It's a throw into United on the left-hand side of the Spurs penalty area. Paul Pogba cross it inside the penalty area as far as Wan-Bissaka to McTominay shoots, and it's a great save by Hugo Lloris and it's get cleared by Sergio Reguilon. And Reguilon now on the counter-attack, but it goes to a throw-in to Man United. Fantastic shot by McTominay and a great save by the Spurs captain.
Yeah, it was a good save by Hugo Lloris to deny Scott McTominay. It just comes into him, really nice pass into him. The pace is taken off it. Perfect opportunity to shoot and try and catch Lloris. He takes it first time, the Scottish midfielder. It's pretty straightforward for Lloris there, isn't it? All he's got to do is he's just got to make sure he gets down low, he reacts to it, moves in time, and just pushes it away, and he does exactly that.
There's a corner for United. We're playing the 55th minute, and United going to try and step up the gear a bit, try to get that equaliser. And it's Bruno Fernandes inside the 6-yard area, cleared by Kane again. Goes back to Fernandes on the left-hand side. The Portuguese with the ball. Try to cross it, but blocked by Heung-min-Son, but still gone back to United. Wan-Bissaka to Paul Pogba on the right-hand side. Pogba against Højbjerg. Trying to cross it, but deflected by the Danish midfielder, and it goes to a throw-in to United. United are really going for it now, aren't they? You can see it in their eyes. They know they're actually more than capable of trying to score a goal. It's just a matter of finishing at the moment. Fred to Fernandes. Fred just outside the penalty area. Great passes by United to Cavani. Shoots! Oh, he's going to score, then scores it by Fred. And Fred has equalised to Man United. It was a great move by United. Few players with great small passes. Goes to Cavani. Shoots it from inside the 6-yard. Great block initially by Hugo Lloris, but the ball falls to Fred, who equalised to United. And surely that goal, there's no issue and there's no VAR interception, Matt.
Absolutely not. It's a really well-worked goal by Manchester United. They get it and work it really well on the edge of the box. Really tight, close, passing in and around just a sort of few yards. Cavani's in a really good position. He's not really opened himself up. He hits it straight at Hugo Lloris. Unfortunately for Lloris, he saves it straight down the middle, right to Fred, who's just made the run. He's anticipated that Lloris might power it straight into his path, and he's such an unlikely goal scorer, Fred. But you've got to give him credit to get in the position in the first place. And of course, he has, still got to put the ball in the back of the net. It's really good persistence and anticipation from Fred. Waddle from Manchester United, and there's certainly no debate about the goal on this occasion. But they've been a little bit better in the second half, a little bit quicker, a little bit faster. They've almost come out and played what Spurs were sort of like in that first half, haven't they? And they're fully deserving of the equaliser as well.
Absolutely. They have been a better team since the restart. Man United, and fully deserved the goal, the equaliser in the 56th minute. And of course, now it will change games for Mourinho, because obviously he's not winning the game now, and we probably expect different kind of dimension and different kind of thoughts from the Spurs manager. Now the game is tied.
I think he'll still keep things the same. I mean, obviously, there's no need to quite panic yet. Yes, United have certainly enjoyed the lion's share of possession in the attacks, but maybe if another goal goes in for United, it might change.
Absolutely. And Spurs have got few players on the bench as well as United. No, United on the attack. Paul Pogba just outside the penalty area to pass to Fernandes, but Fernandes could only find Lucas Moura. And now Spurs on a counter attack. Heung-min-Son inside the United area. Son is about 5-6 players back for the United players now to Harry Kane on the right hand side. Cross it inside the penalty area, and it get cleared by McTominay as far as Ndombele by the corner flag. Ndombele trying to take on McTominay on the left-hand side of the penalty area. It does so. Ndombele still with the ball. Pass it on to Højbjerg. Now change areas to Serge Aurier to Lucas Moura. Lucas Moura, followed by Fred, the goal scorer. Back to Aurier. Aurier just outside the United penalty area. Great pass from Højbjerg to Aurier. Aurier shoots and he goes to Heung-min Son just outside the 6-yard area. And he shoots. It's a great save by Dean Henderson. And still the ball was Spurs. And this time United managed to take the ball. Now they are on the counter attack, and the ball goes to a throw-in to Manchester United. It was a great move by Spurs again, but this time Dean Henderson's chance to have a great save from the South Korean.
Yeah, Henderson's had nothing to do, as he no saves to make. The only thing he's had to do was pick the ball out of the back of the net when Son scored. Aurier makes a really good run. It is actually a decent attempt. It's a really good challenge by Lindelof, but they get a little bit lucky, Spurs, because it goes to Son at the back post on the right-hand side. It comes to him, and you think he's going to take it on first time, but he just waits and waits. He tries to catch Henderson out, but fair play to the United keeper. He shuffles across, he's positioned well, and he don't really have to move. He's just able to just sort of get a leg onto it and make a really good save as he is able to stop Spurs going 2-1 up.
And we're going to see the first substitution of the game. Looks like Musa Sissoko is going to come in for Giovanni Lo Celso. What do you think of that move, Matt?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, we might see a change in formation. I think what Sissoko will bring, he'll bring a lot more energy. He'll bring you more legs. Obviously, Lo Celso doesn't probably quite have that. He's still probably trying to get up to scratch a little bit more, isn't he, Lo Celso? He has had some time on the sidelines, but you can see with the change early on that Sissoko's come onto the pitch and is slotting into the midfield. So I think they might have already sort of made a change of formation already to try and just sort of, if you like, sort of match Manchester United. So effectively, you might see Ndombele sort of just push up the pitch and almost play as the 10, and Sissoko just sort of slot in where Ndombele was before the sub was made.
Absolutely. We can see Sissoko more sticking back with Højbjerg, and we see Ndombele's going a bit more forward, isn't he, with Moura and Son. Of course, Ndombele is well known, isn't he, that he can play in the sort of any kind of position in that midfield, if he was a defensive midfielder or on the attacking side of it. And we've seen, and we actually have seen a few good goals as well from the Frenchman.
Yeah, absolutely, with Ndombele. I mean, he was heavily involved for the first goal, wasn't he, where he played the ball forward to Harry Kane, in which he was in a good area, sort of 20 yards out from United's area from a defensive point of view. And going and putting him in the hole, it means he gets more involved. They look to him to start creating the attacks as much as anything else.
Spurs with the ball, intercepted by Man United inside the penalty area, and now goes back to Fernandez. Fernandez shoots. That was a great save by Hugo Lloris. Great move by Manchester United, trying to take the lead. And it was a fantastic shot by the Portuguese, and even better save by Hugo Lloris. United are not giving up on getting the whole 3 points, aren't they?
No, if you think anyone's going to win it, it's going to be Man United at the moment. They've been really good in this second half. The first 18 minutes of it, it's a pretty straightforward one for Lloris, but you've got to remember he's, facing forward. He's actually turned it behind him, and when you obviously make a save behind you, you just never know if it's going to trickle on it. But he did manage to take the pace off the ball with the save as well, and good goalkeeping by Lloris.
Absolutely. I think United are more edging to winning this game than Tottenham at this stage. Luke Shaw with a corner from the right-hand side, inside the 6-yard area, and it goes to a goal kick. Last touch was by Paul Pogba, the Frenchman. And of course, Spurs, if they need to get off the pressure a bit, they have got players like Gareth Bale, who's on the bench. Of course, we all know what Gareth Bale can do. And also, we've got Dele Alli, even though he has been off, shall we say, most of the season for Jose Mourinho's team. But Spurs and United both got more than capable players trying to win the game. It's just how to use them when it comes to situations like this. Ball forward. Go towards Harry Kane, set it by Lindelof. Lindelof will pass it forward to Cavani, to Pogba. And United are with the ball. Go back to Harry Maguire. Maguire to Lindelof. 64 minutes gone. 1-1 between Spurs and United. Son in the first half, and Fred, the unlikely goal scorer, in the second. United probably would think they should have been 2-1 up with that disallowed goal. It was in the first half, but it will be a big talking point after this match. We have seen how angry and frustrated the United bench after that disallowed goal due to the foul on McTominay on Heung-min Son.
Put it this way, John: if there is a United winner, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer doesn't talk about the goal getting talked up by Cavani, does he? Let's face it. But if it stays as a draw, it's going to dominate his post-match interviews, isn't it? With all the various TV outlets and media outlets.
Absolutely, completely agree with you on there. A win is a win, and everything we've forgotten. With Paul Pogba and go pass it to Wan-Bissaka on the right-hand side of the penalty area, cross it inside the penalty area, and again, good interception by Joe Rodden and good clear up to another corner to United. It's all United at the moment, even though you would think Spurs would do something going forward, but it's actually United the more hungry and the more eager to get the 3 points here today. It's a corner kick for United. We're playing the 65th minute. It's the 5th corner for United in this game. And it's Bruno Fernandes, the Portuguese maestro for United. Cross it inside the penalty area. And there's a bit of a deflection, and there's a foul on one of the players, as some of the players shouting for a foul or a penalty to United. Then the ball goes to Luke Shaw. Shaw, well chipped to Fernandes, into Pogba inside the 60-yard area, trying to flick it back, heel it, but got cleared by the Spurs defence. It's another good move, fantastic move, in fact, by United. Now there's a foul against Pogba, and it's going to be another yellow card, but the referee says play on. Goes to Harry Kane, to Ndombele, to Reguilon, the left-hand side, to Heung-min Son. Son. Back to Højbjerg, to Ndombele, just outside the penalty area. Ndombele trying to get inside the penalty area. Ndombele, short pass to Reguilon on the left-hand side. Trying to cross it, but got deflected to a corner. And it's going to be a corner to Spurs. And a yellow card to, I believe, we're going to be Paul Pogba on the foul early on. Or possibly Luke Shaw, in fact.
Yes, Luke Shaw has been booked for the foul on Luke. It's a pretty easy spot for the referee. And it was good refereeing, actually, to allow the attack to continue and then to give the yellow card. But it's just showing the replay of that Pogba chance. He's got his back to goal. He's tried to simply flick it under the legs of Lloris. You can see why he's tried to do it. Very, very clever play, but he had a man, unfortunately, in between Lloris and the attempt.
It was a good move, and like I mentioned, United are the more eager to score the winning goal here in the second half. They already scored one. Son in the corner from the left-hand side, cleared by Pogba. As far as Ndombele. Back to Heung-min Son, who passes it back to Højbjerg. I mean, Spurs are with the ball at the moment, and they had a chance or so in the second half. But again, United, you think they're the team of favourites at this stage. Heung-min Son, the left-hand side, inside the penalty area, trying to take on a player who could not control the ball. It was a bad trick by the South Korean, and it goes to a goal kick to Manchester United. Solskjaer would be the happy man, wouldn't he, Matt?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just sort of going back to Son in the box there, Wan-Bissaka did absolutely superbly to just completely slam the door shut. We've seen with Heung-min Son, he likes to go back on the inside and back on his right foot, and then obviously Wan-Bissaka completely shut the door on him on the inside, and then obviously it meant he had to go on the outside, and he just overran it. It was absolutely exemplary defending, and that is what makes Aaron Wan-Bissaka really, really good in this Man United team with his defending. Wow, he just gets players on their weaker foot.
Lucas Moura with the ball now to Ndombele. Try to take on McTominay. McTominay, fantastic tackle, intercepted by the United player. Goes to Rashford. To Bruno Fernandes. Fernandes to Wan-Bissaka on the right-hand side of the penalty area. Fernandes trying to cross over, got deflected by Højbjerg, and it goes to a throw-in to Manchester United. Plays a throw-in. Short to Fernandes. Back to Wan-Bissaka. We're coming into 70th minute. Still 1-1 between Spurs and United. Fred. And changing back area to Luke Shaw. Goes back to Harry Maguire. Maguire. Cross it towards Bruno Fernandes, but is one intercepted by Højbjerg, but Spurs could not control the ball. Go back again to Fred. United actually on the front feet. It passed towards Pogba, but Lloris was the quicker to the ball. Seems like United got more ideas, haven't they? Well, now
they have.
Harry Kane trying to take the ball, and now foul on Harry, and there's going to be another yellow, this time to the United captain Harry Maguire. That's another late challenge again, isn't it, by the England vice captain, shall we say?
Well, yeah, I mean, Maguire tries to just sort of shield it out of play, gets it all wrong. Kane, as we know, does not give a defender a moment's peace, and it's a pretty easy decision for him to give. But one thing I've noticed as well is that, it is going down Tottenham's left-hand side, but Paul Pogba has switched his position. He started on the right-hand side of the three in that first half. Second half, he's gone through the middle, and he's very much the man who's sort of Tottenham at the moment just cannot seem to get to grips with. He's making really good, important runs through the middle. He obviously has been denied with that sort of vital block to stop the back heel going under Lloris's legs. And there was one with that ball in there. They've got to start man marking him because he's escaping the Tottenham defenders' clutches.
Plays a free kick by Heung-min Son inside the penalty area, but the header from Serge Aurier goes over the bar and goes to a goal kick to Manchester United.
Yeah, he really rips it in well there, Heung-min Son. And it just comes to Serge Aurier. All you got to do in that position, you just hope to get it on target and work the goalkeeper. And he certainly met it well, but there was a lot of power on it. And Dean Henderson just saw that one comfortably over his own crossbar.
It's going to be the first substitution for Manchester United, and it's going to be Mason Greenwood on for Marcus Rashford. We haven't seen much of Rashford, haven't we, really, in the way, and he's probably trying to put a bit of fresh legs for his team, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Rashford, to me, does feel like maybe he could do with a bit of a rest. I think he's played so many games for Manchester United. He is always a key player, and, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer really does like him, and we didn't really see a lot of him, I think, especially down on that right-hand side. He is more a man that comes from the left.
There's a ball towards Luke Shaw, and just outside Ogier penalty area. And Fred with a shot, and it got deflected by the Spurs player, and Sissoko trying to clear the ball. And it goes as far as Fred, and Ndombele take the ball. Now Lucas Moura, now Spurs on the counter-attack. Harry Kane to the right-hand side to Ndombele, inside the Man United area. Ndombele taken on Fred, goes to Højbjerg to Heung-min Son, just on the edge of the penalty area to Harry Kane, inside the penalty area, trying to take a 1-2, shoots, and it's a great save by Dean Henderson. It is a fantastic move this time around, but this time it's for Spurs, and fantastic keeping by Dean Henderson.
Well, Tottenham think the only way they're going to score today in this second half and maybe get the winner is to score from the counter-attack. Really nice ball forward to Harry Kane from Son. He fools Wan-Bissaka because he thinks he's going to shoot first time, but he just waits and then checks back onto his right foot and he hits it at Dean Henderson's near post and he covers his angles really well, Dean Henderson. And it's very much like the man who's the understudy to him at the moment at United, being so good with his feet and able to just move across quickly and deal with the imminent shot.
The corner plays inside the penalty area. It goes to Sissoko, trying to shoot, and again from 6 yards, it was Serge Aurier by fix it over the bar. It was another fantastic chance for Spurs, but United escaped that chance due to Aurier's he wasn't even looking at the goal, wasn't he, Aurier, from 6 yards?
He's off balance when it comes into him. It gets headed out by the Manchester United defence. It was Wan-Bissaka read it. Sissoko does really well to just drill it back in. Serge Aurier is offside anyway as that ball gets played in. It just takes a nick, I think, again off Wan-Bissaka. And it comes to Aurier. He's got to think quickly on his feet. He just tries to flick it and catch Henderson Cole. But if anything, it's just sort of taken too much power off his foot as he's tried to guide it in the net. And it's seen over the crossbar by Dean Henderson.
Edison Cavani, no, United on the attack with Luke Shaw on the left-hand side, back to Cavani, just outside the penalty area to Paul Pogba. Pogba crosses to the right-hand side to Greenwood. Greenwood with the ball, and he shoots and just flicked us by the post, in fact, and it goes to a goal kick to Tottenham Hotspur. It's a good move again by Man United. It's really becoming a really exciting game at the moment. It's just lacking the goal, isn't it? That might kill it either way. But it's been a very exciting last 5-10 minutes, Matt.
Yeah, absolutely. It's sort of a case at the moment is, we'll attack, you attack. It was really good football by United. Pogba into Greenwood. He goes out on that right-hand side. He's going to come in on his left foot, which is a very good left foot, I might add. Really poor from Reguilon because he gives him far too much room to go on his left foot. He tries to catch Lloris Cole at his near post. The goalkeepers, when they've had to make saves or sort of be called into action, have been very, very good in this game. And Lloris saw it comfortably beyond him. But, of course, in that situation, you don't want to get beaten at your near post. You just got to cover the angle, and he did exactly that. But a really good attempt by Greenwood, and they just hope, United, that they can get him involved in the attacks as often as they can, because he really is a player that has got an exciting future and has shown this season that he can be a real stalwart in this United team.
Absolutely, absolute fantastic talent, isn't he? And every time he came on, he actually does change the dimension, isn't he, going forward for Manchester United. Ball with McTominay. Pass it to the Wan-Bissaka. United with the ball in the middle of the park. Back to McTominay. To Harry Maguire. 50 minutes left of this match, and still 1-1 between Spurs and Manchester United, and it's going to be a foul on Højbjerg. It's probably got 25 yards from the goal. It's a good position for someone to have a crack on it, possibly Fernandes, if he wants to.
Yeah, it feels like Bruno Fernandes territory. Easy foul for the referee to give against Højbjerg. He was really close to Paul Pogba. He just wrapped his leg around Paul Pogba's leg, didn't it? It was an easy decision for the referee to keep. But this, as you say, is about 25 yards out. But we know with Fernandes, he almost takes it like Ronaldo, doesn't he? He looks for the dip, doesn't he? He goes high and takes a real awkward dip. He puts a lot of spin on it as well. So this is a real difficult position for Hugo Lloris. But you've got to make sure that the ball does its job, as Højbjerg sort of been told to just get out of the way and just... Well, he's gone back in there now, but he's keeping Ndombele and Kane there as well.
Fernandes plays it short to McTominay, trying to cross it, but deflected with Højbjerg. Probably not as planned by Manchester United. Probably wasted another free kick, really, from a good position for United. Ball with Lindelof inside the Spurs area. Going forward, pass it to Greenwood. Greenwood just outside the penalty area, but it's a great interception by Sissoko. And it goes to Lucas Moura. Now, Spurs are trying to create another chance, but deflected. It goes back to the England defender, Eric Dyer. There's a player down for Manchester, and it's Fernandes. He's complaining.
I'd like to tell what sort of happened there. I mean, we're going to see it now, but obviously I think it's maybe just a case of...
It's a bit of a kick by Lucas Moura, isn't it?
Yeah, going into his ankle, just sort of, giving a little kick out. It might have been a little bit petulant. Obviously, Chris Kavanagh has not seen it. And obviously, it's not deemed enough to pull it back. And it's not vicious enough to go to VAR or anything like that. So, obviously, Fernandes has probably just got a bit of a knock off that.
There's going to be another substitution for Spurs. And this time it's going to be Ndombele coming off. And the Argentinian Eric Lamela. Of course... we've seen goal of the month last month, scoring against Arsenal. He's got obviously 13 minutes trying to do something similar, or just a goal for Spurs trying to win the 3 points. But it's probably the right attitude, isn't it, from Mourinho, bringing on someone as like Lamela in the last 12 minutes or so.
Yeah, and I think you might see the system sort of get altered again, if you like. I mean, with Sissoko sort of going into the middle. You might just sort of see Son shift out to the right, as we've seen there, and then Lamela sort of play in the middle with, Son going to the left, Lamela in the middle, Lucas to the right. So there is a tactical tweak. So they've almost gone one up front, as they think that Son might need to run Aaron Wan-Bissaka.
The ball with Man United, with Lindelof. Lindelof with the ball inside the Spurs area. And goes to Fernandes and cross it towards Cavani. Cavani, his heads, and he scores. And that's the second goal that United needed. And it probably is well deserved as well. And this time is from Edinson Cavani. It's a great move by United. We did say that United are probably the close of clinching the 3 points and scoring the second goal. And it has came. And this time Cavani's goal will stand, Matt.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. And it's a really good header as well, isn't it? Cavani, as soon as he's in the box, he just comes alive, doesn't he? Really good setup play. Greenwood thinking forward. Before Fernandes plays that ball to him, he knows exactly where he's going to put it. And he's going to put it on Cavani's head. Beyond Aurier, beyond Eric Dyer. Cavani just says, thank you very much. I'm going to head it in past Lloris. And he does exactly that. Brilliant forward play by Cavani. Superb cross by Greenwood. And Manchester United, you've got to be honest, have thoroughly deserved that. And you don't usually see Ole Gunnar Solskjaer show emotion, but he shows it now. He didn't really know quite what to do, but no doubt about it, he'll be ecstatic, as well as Edison Cavani. He was an eyebrow raiser to start him ahead of today's game, but he certainly proved his worth. What an inspired bit of business he was to bring him in, and what a brilliant finish it was as United go 2-1 up here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Absolutely, and to be fair, it's probably what United deserve in the second half. They have been a much better team than Spurs in this half. But you look at the goal, Matt, and it's what Spurs fans talk about, isn't it? Eric Dyer was on no man's land, and Sergio Aurier was just looking at the player, Cavani, when he actually headed the ball.
Yeah, and you can talk about the defensive side, but you've got to give massive credit to Solskjaer bringing Greenwood on. What a difference he's made since he came on.
Absolutely. And Mason Greenwood has been great. In fact, as I mentioned earlier, he's a fantastic the United team. And he has changed a bit of a dimension. And it's probably changed more than what we've seen from Spurs at the moment. But Mason Greenwood has been the inspiration substitute, as we say, in this game, and on his head. Spurs were at half time, and now United probably deserve in front against a team who's struggling for goals in this half.
Yeah, absolutely. Gareth Bale's getting ready now, so obviously Mourinho's got his last throw of the dice. But one thing about Greenwood, since he's come on, Reguilon has really not coped well with him at all. He's shown in the inside, and I said it before when he had that chance at Lloris's goal sort of around 15, 20 minutes ago. He had that opportunity when it came into him. About 5-10 minutes ago, so that might have been a bit too further ahead. But he had that chance when he came inside and hit it wide. And then we've seen him now put that ball in. He's been shown the inside. Reguilon has got to be tighter. He's got to be on his toes, because you can't give him the opportunity to put the ball in on that wand of a left foot of his. And it's obviously proved that he's got an assist for Cavani's goal, the all-important goal as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's actually, like you mentioned, Gareth Bale is on and Lucas is off. It's probably a little too late for Spurs to either win this game with 8 minutes left, considering that they have been playing second fiddle to United, and now United are on attack again. And I mean, it's like the United of the past, isn't it? They might be 2-1 up, but they still want to score more goals, which is what you used to under the Alex Ferguson era.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you've got to really credit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, his tactics in the second half, because they've been absolutely brilliant. He's changed the tactics slightly in terms of the way they've gone about Tottenham. They gave them far too much room, far too much time to sort of bring the ball out and get in United tap. But the second half, they've gone about them. You know, we've seen not just McTominay and Fred, but we've seen everybody do it. Pogba's been doing it. We've seen Greenwood, Rashford sort of do it. Fernandes. They've been really charging at Spurs from a defensive point of view, and it's really paid off for them.
And that was a cross from Sergio Aurier inside the 6-yard area to Harry Kane, but Lindelof he reads it quite well and goes to a corner to Spurs. Spurs got 7 minutes trying to get something out of it. Sorry, Matt, carry on.
To sort of interrupt you. I mean, it's always difficult when the goalkeeper and the defender both go for the same ball, but Lindelof there probably did the right thing. He probably heard the shout a little bit too late. Might not have even heard the shout and just decided to clear it for a corner, be on the safe side.
Absolutely. It was a fantastic chance. Spurs just hit the bar as well. And it goes to Lamela, trying to cross it to Kane. Goes to Sissoko, to Heung-min Son. That was a fantastic chance for Spurs a second ago. It goes to Reguilon, to Højbjerg. You can see all the Man Utd players are back in their own area. It's a good lead to defend. Spurs, of course, they were leading in this game, but we've seen it so many times this season, haven't they? When they were leading and they lost that lead, and it did cost them a lot of points. And most notably, it's the West Ham game in the last 10 minutes of that game. It's going to be a corner for Spurs.
Yeah, just on that Cavani sort of with the header hitting the bar, he's tried to clip it away. It's completely gone the wrong side of his head. He's tried to head it back, hasn't he? And he sort of headed it onto the side. And I mean, that looked more like an attacking player header, didn't it? And he's got away with one there as Edison Cavani.
Absolutely. It was Cavani's head out is actually hit the bar. But credit, he was standing in the right place because he was actually surrounded by a few Spurs players, wasn't he? When that, so it's credit him going back and defending that corner for United. Ball forward from Henderson goes to Gareth Bale to Cavani. Cavani falls down, but he managed to take the ball. Fantastic play by Cavani, and Pogba tried to cross it inside the penalty area, but it was a great deception by a Spurs defender, and it goes to a throw-in to Manchester United. It was a great move, isn't it? It takes the ball off Cavani, and he's on the floor, and he still managed to take the ball off back from the Spurs player and created another chance for United.
Yeah, I think he's been absolutely exceptional. Not just this game, but since he's come in. I mean, he's probably got to be up there as one of the best free transfers United have made. I mean, as I said, a lot of eyebrows were raised about him. You know, he's in his mid-30s, but he certainly knows where the back of the net is. But he is a workhorse. I mean, he might, not be in the game for a long while, but when he is, he gets heavily involved, and when sort of in the right areas to try and win the ball back and hunt the opposition down in possession, he does exactly that, and he doesn't miss many opportunities. And he's obviously put the ball in the net twice. One probably cruelly ruled out, but then the other one he took absolutely impeccably.
United with the ball with Paul Pogba on the left-hand side of the penalty area. Try to put it cross forward to McTominay, and there's been a tackle between McTominay and Højbjerg, and Chris Kavanagh gives a foul to Spurs. Of course, McTominay is on the yellow, so he needs to be careful.
Yeah, I don't think you can give a second yellow for that one. Let's be honest.
No, not at all. Not at all. It was a tackle, wasn't it? It was both. It could have gone either way. It was both putting each other one day, and the probably referee has seen it as more of a McTominay's tackle than Højbjerg.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, McTominay just sort of went into the side of him, but of course, it was nothing to do with sort of making it as a tactical. It was a tactical foul, but not enough to be cynical. Nothing whatsoever.
Reguilon inside Joe Rodon, in fact, to Harry Kane. 3 minutes left to the end of the game, plus stoppage time. It's Tottenham Hotspur 1, United 2. Now Tottenham with the attack was Reguilon inside the penalty area, and that was a fantastic tackle by Wan-Bissaka inside his own area. Harry Kane crossed it inside the inside area towards Gareth Bale, but it was a good catch by the United keeper. Fantastic tackle by Wan-Bissaka on Reguilon inside his own area. He has to be so careful, but it was so absolute precise tackle.
Yeah, I don't think Aaron Wan-Bissaka mistimes his slide challenges, does he? He usually gets them absolutely spot on, doesn't he? But I think one thing we're going to start to see from Tottenham now, they're going to start to be a little bit more direct, put balls in the box, put Henderson, Lindelof and Maguire in particular, the two United centre-backs under pressure, because you've got Bale, you've got Kane, two fine headers of the ball. I think that's the road that Tottenham are going to go down to get an equaliser.
It was Gareth Bale with the ball, but his cross has been charged down by the United defender and goes safely to Dean Henderson. Of course, Dean Henderson has been keeping his place, isn't he, quite late ahead of David De Gea, which probably did raise another bit of eyebrows when you see Dean Henderson in goal, but ahead of the Spanish goalkeeper.
Yeah, it certainly did at first, but I think we knew the quality of Dean Henderson. We saw him for Sheffield United in the Premier League last year, and obviously I've been sort of following his career a little bit. He's had the loans, he's had the experience, he's learned in the lower leagues, and obviously he's certainly learned a lot about himself as a person. He's good with his feet, very modern-day type goalkeeper, and it's all down to trust, isn't it? He's been thrown in the Europa League games, impressed. I think he's sort of only conceded, I think, a goal in that time, which was a bit of a contentious one. The first leg against AC Milan. So, Solskjaer has really seen the benefit of him. He's on the periphery for England. And I think he is somebody who's got a real bright future. And, he deserves to still be kept in the team, even though he's got a really good, person to compete with in David De Gea.
Absolutely, has been a well-justified move, isn't it, by Solskjaer to keep faith with Henderson. He has been very impressive every time he's been starting for Man United. Of course, now the 90 minutes is gone, waiting for the stoppage time to be displayed, but there's been another substitution now for United, and Bruno Fernandes is off, and Matic is on. A bit of a defensive attacking minded person, isn't he? Just for the last few minutes and what is left of the game for United.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a nice calm head, isn't Nemanja Matic? And I think obviously Solskjaer's done it as insurance, as protection. With McTominay and Fred both booked, they know that there's probably going to be a lot of occasions where they're going to have to win the ball and be defensive minded and make sure they're not out of line and get a red card. And I think it's a real smart move by Solskjaer. Good management just to put Matic in there, just to take the pressure a little bit off of Scott McTominay and Fred.
It's going to be at 6 minutes at a time. 6 minutes at a time for Spurs to salvage something from this game, and 6 minutes for United to keep hold of that league. It's been the second game of two halves. United Spurs have scored their goal in the first half. United came back strongly, not just on the goals, but also on the way they've been playing in the second half. They have been the better team, and they are well deservedly ahead here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Ball from Sissoko towards Harry Kane, cleared by the United defence. McTominay to Fred, who's the unlikely goal scorer of the first goal, and it's actually a foul on Fred, or for Fred, in fact. And we have got 5 minutes left, and it's weird, isn't it, Matt? Because when a player actually gets injured at this time and stays down for a while, you don't know if it's actually a waste timing or it's actually a real injury.
Well, it's a kick, isn't it? I think Fred's probably overreacting a little bit there, just trying to kill as much time as he can. It was a little bit rash from Sissoko. I think maybe a booking might be a little bit harsh on that occasion, to be perfectly honest with you. But, I think Fred is just knowing what he's trying to do there, just staying on the ground and just let the clock tick even closer toward full time.
Pogba just near the corner flag, and it get cleared by Serge Aurier. We've got just over about 4 minutes left of injury time. But it looks like we're not really seeing anything much difference from Spurs since they conceded the second goal. And you have to be fair, if things don't change in the next 4 minutes or so, probably United do deserve this win.
Oh, 100%. I think from the Tottenham point of view, I just think their energies are sort of gone, isn't it? I think it almost feels like they might have gone a bit too quickly. United territory now for them is just take the ball in the corner and just get a free kick, just wind the clock down, manage the game as good as you can. But, you can give that about Tottenham, but you've got to say United have been a real good asset since they went 2-1 up. They're so good at coming back from losing positions. You'll always feel when United, whenever they go a goal down, they're going to just get a goal, aren't they, and get back in the game. They're so good at it. They don't panic. And I think that's something that Solskjaer's really instilled in this group of players. Their heads don't drop. The heads very much stay in the air, and they pop their chests out and say, look, we're behind, but we'll show what we can do. They've done it countless times. They've won 25 points, I think it is, from losing positions. They did it last week against Brighton, and they're on course to do it again, John.
Absolutely. And this time, with all due respect to Brighton, but probably a bigger team, isn't it, away from home to Tottenham Hotspur. No Spurs with the ball. There's a free kick, but the referee says play on. Did hit one of the United hands. And now Sissoko with the ball. Spurs got 3 minutes to get a point from this game. But on the way that this second half been played, United fully deserve the 3 points if it stays as it is. With Lamela with the ball. Lamela to Sissoko. The ball inside the United area. To Eric Dyer. Cross it inside the penalty area. Cleared by the United defender. And it goes towards Luke Shaw, who clears it forward. And it goes as far as Joe Rodon, but there's a foul on Luke Shaw by Aurier. It was more or less a late tackle as well. And I'm actually, to be honest with you, when looking at it,
it's like a bookable offence. The ball had gone when Aurier went in. That's a yellow card. I mean, he'd been booking sort of fouls like that. And I think to see sort of Serge Aurier get away with one there, he's a lucky boy not to get booked.
Absolutely. I thought this is more of a booking than the Sissoko one a couple of minutes ago.
Absolutely.
But obviously we talk about the referees and obviously the angles. That's probably they've seen the incidents. However, it was near the linesman, so there was no doubt that the linesman would have seen it quite well. That he was very late tackle on the United player. Just got over a minute left. Sergio Aurier with a throw-in. He leaves it for Eric Dyer. Eric Dyer with a throw. Forward inside the United area. That's about Harry Kane. But he could not control the ball, and it goes back to Joe Rudden. And again back to United. Now United with Cavani to Paul Pogba. Pogba with the ball. Try to pass it on to Mason Greenwood inside the penalty area. Greenwood take on one, and he shoots! And that's a fantastic goal. And that is the third goal. And as Matt said, Mason Greenwood has been a breath of fresh air and a fantastic talent. And it's Tottenham 1, United 3. And Matt, it's nothing more than not just Mason Greenwood, but United deserving a second half.
Yeah, 3 points in the bag now for sure. Absolutely brilliant finish by Mason Greenwood. What a talent he is. And he is going to be a bright star for England in the future. But you've got to give Paul Pogba a lot of credit, even though Greenwood takes it on his own absolutely superbly. He just gets away from Højbjerg, bounces off Eric Dyer. He's got to do more for me. But this time, Greenwood goes on the outside of Reguilon, and that's on his weaker right foot as well. He's just blasted it down the middle of Lloris. He can do nothing about it, and he's just got a big hand in putting it into the back of the net. 3-1, done and dusted. United have been absolutely superb in the second half, and in particular, Mason Greenwood. He's got an assist. Now he's got a goal. What a special, special player he really is.
And in fact, Chris Kavanagh has just blown his whistle, and the game has ended. Spurs losing at home to Manchester United by 3-1. Heung-min Son scoring in the first half for Spurs, and then Man United have scored through Cavani, Fred, and Mason Greenwood. It was a game a bit of two halves. There was a goal disallowed in the first half for Manchester United, but as Matt said earlier, if United do take the 3 points, he will not be talking that much regarding that incident. It was touch and go either way. But to be fair, United do deserve the 3 points in today's game, Matt.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so many good points you can talk about Man United's performance. I mean, the first thing, the halftime team talk must have been really inspired from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because they came out, they weren't angry about the decision. I think it was a really good time and a good thing they had halftime when they did, because they just made some real needless, careless fouls, didn't they? And obviously, they came out in the second half. They let the football do the talking. Brilliant mentality Manchester United had. I thought his changes worked absolutely superbly. Greenwood came on. He was a breath of fresh air. Rashford, to me, looks tired. It's a little bit leggy, probably a little bit sluggish, but Greenwood came on, as you said numerous times on commentary. He was a breath of fresh air. Putting balls in on his left foot. He completely had Sergio Reguilon on toast, didn't he? He really struggled against him, the Spanish left back, who we, thought has been a real good buy this season for Spurs. And obviously we've, saw a few tactical tweaks as well. I thought Pogba was more involved in the game. We saw him on the right-hand side. Didn't really get involved. He was a quiet shadow in that game. But then we saw him in the second half play down the middle, making runs. He was almost playing as a number 10. Sort of what you were seeing him back in the day when he was at Juve, and why United paid, just over 90 million or just under 90 million to get him in through the door. He was making really good forward runs. He was stretching the pitch, stretching the lines, and Tottenham were really struggling to deal with him. Cavani was absolutely impeccable up front. It was just a really good away performance from Man United. And I gave Spurs a lot of praise in the first half, but Manchester United were absolutely exceptional away from home. They go behind, they don't worry, and they go and get 3 points and win 3-1 and absolutely thoroughly deserve the victory. There's so many good aspects of that performance from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's team, John.
Absolutely. I mean, just before we go to Ross, I've just got. I'm going to take my. My commentary hat off and put my Spurs hat on, and I'll ask you a question on Harry Kane. Now, in the last few days, there's been numerous rumors about him not being happy at Spurs, the lack of investments, the lack of a thrive of winning things or finishing top four and everything. And I look at it from a Spurs fan, and it's like I would love to Harry Kane to stay for the remainder of his career at Spurs, but if he'd have left, no one can blame him, can they? Really, with the way Spurs are heading at the moment.
Absolutely. I mean, as a Spurs fan, I mean, every Spurs fan will back this up. You don't want to see your best player leave, but you're in football to win. You're in football to play in the best competitions. And you've got to be honest. I mean, Tottenham aren't going to get into the Champions League. I mean, they're struggling to make the Europa League as it is. There is still a good possibility that they can, but I think in their performances, they're far too inconsistent. You can't blame Harry Kane. I think a lot of people probably questioned his ambition and his desire. Would he want to be a club legend at Tottenham and not win as much as he probably deserves, befitting a player of his caliber? Or would he go somewhere like Manchester City, not be a star, be in a team full of unbelievable players and pretty much try and win the lot? You can't question his ambition. You can't question his desire. And, you've got to be honest. You've got to allow the guys move. I mean, Daniel Levy can try and put these clubs off his price tag, but, Harry Kane is a very good professional. He won't, be going out in the press saying, I don't want to not play for this team and, throw his toys at the pram and say, not turn up to training and be a bad egg, if you like. He will wear his heart on his sleeve and feel like, he'll play well to just try and deserve that move, because he is a very good model pro and a really good example to young players. So, that's that sense. But I think for me, Tottenham need to grant his wishes. He gets a good offer. He might not get an offer. I mean, the only destination I can think of is Manchester City, where he goes. If he gets a good offer and it fits in Tottenham's bill, but as we know, and Levy's a tough negotiator, given what he did when he sold Bale to Real Madrid 8 years ago. I think they need to grant his wishes, because he's taken the club as far as he can, and I don't know if Spurs are going to match his ambition, to be perfectly honest with you, John.
No, I agree. Like I said, as a Spurs fan, it hurts me to say that if Harry Kane leaves, I will be gutted. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's all about trophies, isn't it? In this time and age, or in general terms in the world of football. But that would lead to a destroying Spurs, isn't it? Because you would think if Harry Kane is sold, you would see probably the likes of Heung-min Son will think there's no ambition in the club, and he'll decide to leave as well. So it'd be like, it's more or less taking Harry Kane, selling him in the summer, then you're going to see numerous players who will see that lack of ambition and they decide to leave as well. And someone like Heung-min Son, he has proved to be a world-class player as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it could be a start of an unfortunate chain reaction. Of course, it is all talk at the moment that he's going. He might be back in the start of the next season, a Tottenham player. But, with Tottenham, they've always been able to keep hold of top players because they were having Champions League football, because they were competing under Mauricio Pochettino. And ever since they've had that Champions League final, it's just kind of just felt they're never going to, they've had their high glory without winning a trophy. That, to everybody on the outside, feels like that's Tottenham's moment, isn't it? Getting to the Champions League final is more important than actually winning it to some degree, if that kind of makes sense. So it is an unfortunate thing for Tottenham. They have got work to do, not just in terms of on the pitch, but actually keeping hold of players. And actually, if they do leave, replacing them with better quality to really befit the man that's just sort of left them up behind, if you like, should the worst happen and their better assets start to feel that they've outgrown the club.
Just finally, Matt, before we go, what is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is doing that is actually different from Mourinho when he took over at Manchester United to make Manchester United alive again, as we speak?
I think he's just got a lot more, good man management skills about him. I mean, with Mourinho, we often saw him kind of, point the finger at some players. And of course, it has worked down the years and it hasn't worked down the years. You almost sense in his last sort of 8 to 10 months that there was something not quite right at Manchester United. He was sort of upsetting the apple cart. But I just think Solskjaer's really got the players on side. I think that's the most important thing. I think, he's bought the right caliber of players in. He is spending the big money on the players, but he's not just buying them because of their quality. He's buying them to fit the mould. We saw United buy players that were good, but they didn't really fit into the club's sort of ethos. You've got Fernandes, who it feels like epitomises the club. He's bought Cavani, which is an absolutely astute piece of business. And I just felt that, he's just changed the mentality, a little bit in Manchester United. He's not trying to see these players come in just to pick up a paycheck. He's trying to almost see what it means to play for Man United. And They might still be a little bit away from Manchester City, but I'm seeing improvements all the time in this United team. But what Solskjaer's going to get defined on is, I think for me, he's got to win a trophy. The only one he's got left to win is the Europa League. The league, for me, bit too steep. But if he wins the Europa League, gets second place, that's a good season for Manchester United. And, you have to take your hat off to him to an extent. But he's doing very, very well at Man United. I don't think he's getting a lot more credit than he perhaps deserves.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, guys. And just one final one, just a quick one to Matt before we finish off this evening. Man of the match in this game, Matt. Who would you go for?
Easy decision, Edison Cavani. I thought, he was quiet for 30 minutes. Obviously, it did look like at first it wasn't quite his sort of game. United weren't really moving the ball in Tottenham's half. In particular, for the first sort of 25, 30 minutes, he took his goal that got chalked out absolutely superbly. And then he had that header that was the goal that got the second, absolutely superbly. Great run. All good strikers have an instinct, don't they? They have that belief that they're always going to score. I think he has that in his brain, and he has done throughout his career. He's such a smart player. It comes around the 18-yard box. He comes alive. It's like a switch on in his head thinking, I'm going to get in that position. I'm going to anticipate. And he was on the same wavelength as Greenwood. That balling was exceptional, but he just knows in his head, if that goes over the defender's heads in Aurier and Dyer in that case, I've got a chance on goal. I just got to make sure I get the contact and it's going to go in. He barely misses his chances, and he's a player for me who always, when I saw him at PSG in the Champions League, he always took a long time for me to be convinced. He was out of position. He was sort of shoehorned out to the left wing to accommodate Ibrahimovic. But then as soon as Ibra left to go to United, we saw a different Cavani. We saw him score down the middle, and he is a player for me who, in my opinion, has changed of him down the years. And, what an astute piece of business it is by Man United to bring him in. So he's an easy candidate for me to be man of the match today. But there's a lot of other mentions I could give. I thought Greenwood was outstanding when he came on. I thought Pogba played well, especially in the second half. I thought McTominay was excellent defensively. Special mention to them, but Cavani's the one that stands out for me.
Yes, thank you very much there, Matt. And just quickly, let's take a look at some of the other results that was happening throughout today so far. Mention Rangers won 2-1 against Hibernian in the Scottish Premiership earlier on today. Fantastic result for them. Man United have won 3-1, as we've just heard from. Leicester lost out in a 5-goal thriller 3-2 to West Ham United, and Burnley lost 2-1 to Newcastle as well. So more great football and results to mention in a few moments. But from here, thank you very much for listening. We'll be back on in around about 5 minutes' time for build-up to Sheffield United versus Arsenal. Until then, take care, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye for now.